Earlier this week, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiela Tufor fulfilled that constitutional provision in Article 179 of the 1992 Constitution in presenting the fiscal document for the year 2026 and a review of the year 2025 for and on behalf of the President, announcing the scrapping of the COVID-19 health recovery levy and some sweeping reforms to the value-added tax system to inject some 3.7 billion into the economy and return some nearly 6 billion, as a matter of fact, to businesses and households in 2026. But then again, there have been questions about how this would impact on our revenue going into 2026, then taking into consideration the fact that a number of our revenue lines in 2025 underperformed. Well, we'll have a conversation on this plus a number of issues on your mind, and then also how the fiscal year 2026 will be, especially with the many things captured in this budget. We will do the best we can to touch on as many issues as possible. Quite a number of you have sent us questions ahead of the arrival of the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiela Tufor. On key point this morning, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiela Tufor, who is the acting Defense Minister, is my guest this morning. We would have a conversation and also be able to put to him a number of the issues that you have sent to us when we advertise his coming this morning. Also, Parliament has approved the nomination of Justice Paul Bafo-Boni as the new Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, following a heated vetting, walkout by the minority members on the Appointments Committee, and the debate that preceded the vetting, and even after the vetting, before the presentation of the budget. Well, Justice Paul Bafo-Boni is awaiting the President doing what is expected in the next few days. Well, the issues that have been put before him to do within this short period as Chief Justice is going to be the anchor of our conversation this morning. Despite the objections, the majority proceeded with the approval. Justice Paul Bafo-Boni has a number of things on his plate to achieve as Chief Justice within the next 1 year. We'll have a conversation this morning. Also, the Z9 helicopter accident on August 6, 2025 was caused by a sudden downdraft and poor weather conditions over hilly terrain in the Ashanti region. That's the verdict of the committee that was tasked to investigate this accident. That's what they've said. Presenting the details of this report or this investigative finding, Captain Paul Fojo, aircraft accident investigator, who was the head of the investigations at the Aircraft Investigations Bureau, says that the Z9EH utility helicopter operated by the Ghana Air Force was airworthy but lacked modern safety systems that could have helped the pilots avoid this fatal accident. That has led to an aggressive retooling as captured in this 2026 budget. We'll have a conversation this morning tied into this unfortunate incident that happened earlier in the week with the stampede at the Elwak Stadium on Wednesday morning, where the Ghana Armed Forces was recruiting some prospective officers. Several injured, 6 dead, all female. A number of developments after this tragic event. But could this have been avoided? What are the reforms being thought of going forward? And then also the investigations being conducted into this incident. Who has to be held responsible? Who has to answer questions for this? These are the issues that we have on our plates. The menu is rich. Together with you, the next 4 hours, Welcome to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com, on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the city of London, and a number of radio stations across the country. Stay with us. We're back shortly after this quick break. My name is Alfred Ocansey. And guest, Dr. Kasiela Toforsing, the Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana, will take a seat. My other guest as well would later join in. And we have a big conversation this morning. Professor Godfred Bobkin, Martin Pebu, Professor Ransford Jampo. We would also have Dr. George Domfe. And also we would have joining us this morning, later on the show, Dr. Joshua Zato, and also Wing Commander retired Sopojo joining us as well. So stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, Leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online, and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani. From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online, and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Mr. Speaker, through decisive leadership, bold reforms, and resilience of the Ghanaian people, we began to turn the tide. Mr. Speaker, the result speaks for itself. In less than a year, we have recorded a strong economic growth, falling inflation, a strong and stable cedi, improved external buffers, restored fiscal discipline, deepened fiscal reforms, strong and independent fiscal oversight, lower borrowing costs, significant debt reduction, restored investor confidence, expanded social protection, better debt management strategy, and massive infrastructure development. Right, Honorable Speaker, this progress is the fruit of sacrifice and discipline. Ghanaians tightened their belt, businesses adapted, and government stayed the course. Barely a year ago, our economy was uncertain. Today, the cedi in your pocket is stronger. Prices are reducing, and new opportunities are emerging across agriculture, industry, and technology.
Well, welcome back to Key Point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. We're on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the City of London and Voice of London television as well, and a number of radio stations across the country. And also on 3 News on YouTube. I'm Alfred Ocansey. And as remember, so as we go on, there are so many ways that you can connect with us. In fact, when we advertised earlier that the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen, is going to be joining us, a number of you sent in your questions, so we'll make it as interactive as possible. He's joined us in the studio, by the way. Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen, Finance Minister and Acting Defense Minister. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You've been busy.
Yes, but I'm used to it.
The past few days,
I'm used to it.
Right after the budget, you've been talking, granting a lot of interviews, and this morning you're here. The Finance Ministry itself is a huge portfolio. It's one that would give you sleepless nights. Then you are Acting Defense Minister as well. How are you handling the two?
I think it's a matter of how you position yourself and how you share your time and what you do with the time. And there is currently at the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Finance is quite a structured place, and I have a very strong deputy who assists me. And so based on what we do, I know who does what and who has to pick certain file and who doesn't have to. And so I share my time in between, and it is really going well.
Let's see. How many hours do you get to sleep?
Thank you, Alfred. Alfred, sleep, I get a lot of time to sleep because I get home maybe 10, 11, and I'm able to sleep to up to 6. So I think I'm able to.
So there's enough time?
Yes.
I see. Because handling these two ministerial portfolios, cabinet ministerial portfolios, by the way.
One is temporal, though.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
but you're still having to hold it up. I mean, the benefit now is that the defense sector will get a lot more of your attention.
Yes.
And that's we see it reflected in the budget. I always held the view that as a finance minister, in presenting the budget and assessing the state of the economy, it's not only about what you say.
Exactly.
It's a lot more about how people feel.
Exactly.
And if you look at even the global landscape, assessing the state of the economies, you don't just stick to the GDP.
You do more than that.
The gross national happiness and so on.
Yeah.
So you go to the people. In fact, prior to the media budget review, you went to Makola, engaged some market women. This one as well, I saw that you went to the Kotokraba market, and then also another market in the central region.
Yes.
Right?
I think I started from the market circle in Takoradi.
I see. And when you go to people, what do they tell you?
Okay. I go to people for a reason. You have been appointed to be the one to manage the affairs of Ghana's economy. And in the process, you have to allocate resources to solve some priority needs of the state. Policy making is more than sitting in the office and obviously coming out with the policy. It is also involves consultation. And I take steps to consult the people before we come out with a policy that will work well for the ordinary Ghanaian. And so, given the opportunity as Minister of Finance and reading the first budget, there was the need to consult, even though I had a lot more idea of what is exactly wrong. Remember, I've been in the system for some time. I've been a Deputy Minister of Finance for 4 years. I've been a ranking member of the Finance Committee of Parliament for 6 years, in fact 7 years. And then I've also been a minority leader for 2 years.
That's right.
So in between the last 8 years, I knew exactly what may have gone wrong. And coming to office, I knew exactly where to go and how to fix it, because clearly I've been aware of how things have gone over the years, particularly between 2017 to 2024. However, I needed to get it validated. And so I went to the market, solicit information, and it confirmed exactly what I was hoping to hear. And not only that, I noticed that the situation was far worse than I thought.
The situation you
at the market
with the people was far worse.
Far worse than I thought. And so I designed a policy that interacted very well with the situation so that the situation can be reduced.
I see.
Lo and behold, the prescription has worked, and today we are seeing the benefits. But it goes more than the benefits. Now confidence is back. We are confidence is back. An economy, you need confidence to be able to run a good economy. You need the confidence of the people that you are managing their affairs. You also need the confidence of your stakeholders, even outside Ghana. And most importantly, credibility is also important. It is important in the sense that you should be credible. Your policies must be credible. You yourself has to be credible. The government must be credible to be able to win the confidence of the people that you are managing their affairs. And clearly, the work that President Mahama is doing is supporting the credibility and is helping build the credibility that our policy needs. Today, I can say that the storm has passed. We can see clearly that our economy has regained its rhythm. Now, it is up to us to move from stability to progress. And what I'm trying to do in the 2026 budget is first to consolidate the stability that we have seen. And that, for me, is something that we have no choice than to do. We need to consolidate the gain and cement it so that it can give us growth going forward, not only to 2026, but beyond. That is what we are trying to do, and that becomes our number one priority. Then number two, the second priority will be that we use the stability that we are seeing to be able to accelerate some development. And so you will notice that in the budget that we presented, we have identified some 4 key areas for significant investment. And so you will see that government of Ghana is investing heavily in agriculture. We are investing heavily in what we call the big push.
Yes.
We are investing heavily also in energy. And so these are key areas that we are investing. But that is not all. The other 2 important areas that is of importance to us, the social sector. And so you could see education and health getting some significant allocations and policies to drive education and to make education better and make healthcare also better.
So I look at the 3 areas, the broad areas that this budget is anchored on: achieving fiscal consolidation, job creation and accelerated economic growth.
Correct.
And then strengthening security and social sectors. I want to clear a few things off the table. A couple of days ago, you had the unpleasant duty of as acting defense minister, going to Parliament to tell the nation, essentially, about what had happened as a result of this stampede at Elwak.
Yep.
6 people dead, all female. Avoidable death, you say?
Yes, I think so. It's sad that I'm even commenting about it. This shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened.
But unfortunately, it has. I think on behalf of the President, I went to Parliament to express our condolence to the bereaved family in particular. It's unfortunate. My deputy at the Ministry of Defense led the Ghana Armed Forces to visit the bereaved families, and yesterday they were in some parts of the country. And inquiry is on the way. And so I don't want to go into the details yet. I want to allow the Ghana Armed Forces to finish their inquiry. And when the inquiry is done, we'll be able to brief the public as to what exactly occasioned that unfortunate incident.
Because you already talked about some reforms. That's one of the things that you touched on.
Yes.
Apart from the investigation to establish exactly what's happened.
Correct.
People must be held accountable.
Of course. But you don't need to jump the gun. You need to first get it investigated and use the information based on the outcome of the investigation to reform and, where possible, hold people accountable. But you won't be able to have the full information at a glance, otherwise you may end up making a mistake. And so, working with the Chief of Defense Staff, we agreed to immediately commission an inquiry. And as I speak, the military inquiry is on the way, and very soon we'll get a report for us.
A military inquiry?
Yes.
I see. Because there are quite a number of reforms that we've seen already announced. Yes. The Interior Minister is talking about staggering the numbers, so that if you're having 1,000 in a day, you do 500 in the morning, 500 in the afternoon, and then also you're getting more centers as well, so that you go through the process a bit more faster. I mean, there are those who are of the view that even prior to this moment, the late Dr. Manubama was already mulling the idea of changing this process.
You notice that this very recruitment was designed largely to decentralize and to reduce the numbers. And that is why, unlike the past, where everybody comes to Accra, we decided to send it to the regional capitals. But I mean, it is obvious that Accra and Kumasi in particular has more numbers. So probably they should have divided it into 2 or 3 groups. But the numbers we are seeing, for example, in Accra is not the same as the numbers we are seeing in the central region, or maybe in the upper east or upper west regions. These regions cannot be the same as Greater Accra or Kumasi or Ashanti region based on size or the number of people that live in. However, let's still wait for the inquiry, and I'm sure after the inquiry we'll be able to ascertain what actually occasioned this. And one good thing about inquiries is that it doesn't only gives you information as to what happens, but you use that information to also come out with reforms. And we believe that those reforms will be enough those outcome will be enough to propose some reforms. But I can assure you, we will certainly reform the recruitment process going forward.
I see.
And the Ghana Armed Forces are keen on that.
Will look like on that. And let me just quickly move into what is contained in the budget in this regard, because there are quite a number of things that were captured. And I want to know, what's the specific allocation in terms of recruitment into the security services?
We are recruiting 10,000.
10,000?
10,000 across the security services.
That's the Army, Air Force, Navy,
Air Force,
Police.
Navy, no. The Army, Air Force, the Ghana Armed Forces, 1, and then we have the police, we have the fire service, and we have the immigration. All put together is 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, across.
I see. But we understand almost 60,000 people applied. 30,000.
But we are picking 10,000 at this moment.
For this
Yes, for this recruitment. Oh,
10,000.
Yes.
Any plans for the backlog? Because there hasn't been mass recruitment for quite a while.
Let me put it this way. We have training institutions. So you don't just recruit them and don't train them.
True.
So there is a capacity that you cannot exceed. So they will have to go to the training schools and all. Mm-hmm. And from the work we've done for the 2026 fiscal year, we can comfortably recruit and train 10,000 across the sectors. Mm-hmm. And that's what the budget has provision for.
10,000 across the sectors. The defense budget is fixed for next year is quite audacious. I mean, in this budget, over 10.7 billion budgeted for 2026. And from what I'm seeing, about 25% for revamping the Air Force alone with 4 modern helicopters. 4 modern helicopters. When is the procurement for these helicopters starting?
Okay, so you know, helicopters are not off-the-shelf items that you can easily be able to purchase. We have begun the discussion with the helicopter manufacturing companies. Mm-hmm. And let me put this on record. We are not engaging any third party. It's the Ghana Armed Forces directly talking to the manufacturers mm-hmm. and giving them their specifications. And I can assure you that the Ghana Armed Forces will get value for money. These helicopters may take up to 4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
To deliver. So are you manufacturing it from scratch?
They have to.
You are not buying used ones?
No, it's not used ones. They are new helicopters fitted with modern gadgets, and they are buying it from scratch. And then it's our belief that it will take 4 years to get the entire full. Probably they may get 1 or 2 for 4 years, but the entire 4 will be ready in the next 4 years. And that is the decision of the ministry between the Ghana Armed Forces and those that are selling. In the coming days, we'll be going to Parliament to present those agreements to Parliament for discussion. Ghana Armed Forces, particularly the Ghana Air Force, is about agreeing to the terms. And then whenever the terms are ready, we'll take it to Parliament for approval.
I see. Because we've had instances in the past where you use aircraft were bought.
Yes.
We've seen the consequences.
Of course.
And flowing from the back of this, the investigative report on this unfortunate incident, the crash on August 6th, the lack of these updated equipment in the aircraft, all of this is going to be addressed with the purchases you're doing.
Exactly. And that is why we have left it to the Ghana Air Force to be able to assist the government acquire the required helicopters to support the operations.
Apart from this, you are purchasing 1 large range aircraft and 1 medium range aircraft
yes.
for the Ghana Air Force.
Yes. So that is also being discussed. The Ghana Air Force is working with the manufacturers also directly to identify the type of aircraft that they will require. And again, from what we see, that will also take another 3 to 4 years before we get that. But it's obvious that you are building a country, and we need to begin the purchases now so that hopefully the next 4 years, by 2029, we'll have this 1 long range and 1 short range aircraft for the Ghana Air Force.
Are you going to be using this for executive travels as well?
It depends on the president of the day, but the Ghana Armed Forces obviously has a responsibility to pilot the president or executive anytime the president is traveling around.
The criticism about this is that what exactly is the need for this? And why you even purchasing? That's one of the questions that the minority asked yesterday.
So let me come to you on this. The former president spent quite a lot of money chartering planes and I mean, obviously using it for official duties. Have you considered the cost of chartering to the state as compared to the cost of buying. Today, we may spend, let's say, $50–60 million to buy an aircraft, enough to be used by the state and secure the safety of not only the president, but also the executive, and also be available for other use for the state. $50–60 million. Now, if you go back to history, you notice that the charterings that has been happening alone may be equal or more than the 50 million United States dollars that we have spent. And so I ask myself a question. Is it necessary for us to charter at all? And thankfully, the current president has not done any chartering for himself. And then obviously he flies commercial when he has to, but he cannot continue to fly commercial.
John Mahama has never chartered a flight since he became president.
Have you seen him charter one? Have you seen him charter one?
No.
He's not chartered one. As long as I'm concerned, I have not seen him charter a plane for his use. No, he uses commercial flight. And there are instances that we've seen him even use Jata, his brother's plane, to support his travels. But obviously, there was the need for us to have an executive flight. The truth is, purchasing an executive flight doesn't mean the president will be the one to use it. It may take 4 years. You remember, President Kufuor purchased flight, the current Falcon, was purchased by President Kufuor. But he never had opportunity to use it until he left office. Another president came and used it. But we are building a country. The fact that President Mahama may not be the one to use the plane for the state does not mean it should not be purchased. There will be a president in future. This country is a going concern. And so there's the need for us to have a flight worthy of the Republic of Ghana.
I see.
That's what we are.
So taking into consideration the expected date of delivery to be in the next 4 years, all things being equal, I mean, even though it's John Dramani Mahama who is starting the process of procurement, he's not the one going to use it.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
You see, and that leads me into, because this is all of, it's expenditure on the books of the state, which you captured in the budget. And so let's go straight into expenditure. I'm running through the issues because of the limited time that we have. For expenditure for 2025 as compared to 2026, I've seen it go up by 12.4%. Confirm that for me.
Correct. It's going up.
2025, we saw 268 billion total expenditure, and appropriation 293 billion.
Correct.
You want to increase expenditure in 2026 from 268 billion in 2025 to 302 billion. And appropriation probably go up by about some 64%. Where are you getting the money from?
So revenue is equally going up by the same magnitude. The change is largely coming from revenue. And this revenue is coming obviously from the reforms that we are doing. The VAT reforms, as you see, is revenue neutral, but we have actually engaged in comprehensive domestic tax reforms. There is modified tax that we recently launched. We are improving revenue, customs revenue at the ports, and we are introducing an AI-driven data ability to be able to match imports to revenue and get the necessary required revenue that we need to be able to run the economy. And so what we see here is that even though we are not imposing a tax, revenue is going to go up by the same quantum of which we have increased the expenditure. And so you'll notice that the primary balance on commitment basis remains 1.5% of GDP. And then this time we've loosened the austerity a bit and bringing in the needed revenue through, compliance. And the revenue is what we are going to use to drive the reforms that we see.
And because you talk about compliance, this is what the Guta people sent me when you got in. They say that the 20% effective VAT rate, and even before I get into their concerns, one of my guests who's going to be joining us, Professor Alfred Ocansey, had indicated that yes, you reduce effective VAT rate from 21.9 to 20%. Maybe if you had gone down a bit to 19%, you would have had some effective impact.
I think he may have a point, but the question is, we are 22%. Going to 9% will mean that I'm cutting about 3 percentage points. I believe in, yes, going down, but going down gradually. So I've done the first cut from 22 or 21.9 to now 20%. That's the first step. I'm going to introduce measures such as introducing fiscal electronic devices to be able to collect the VAT. And I'm going to introduce VAT cashback promotion to be able to raise the revenue. If I'm able to raise that revenue and even do better, then the subsequent budget, I'll be compelled to come down. If this is where we are, I think at the right time, we'll be able to bring it to 19, even lower. But I think where we are now, I'm cautious enough to stay at 19. But the optimal level, I'm cautious enough to stay at 20. But the optimal level, maybe below 19.
So we're saying, if I get the sense, all things being equal, if this 20%, you assess it, over this period,
you see,
there's a possibility it could go down.
There is a huge possibility that it will go down. Currently, our VAT structure, in fact, the VAT has more or less collapsed.
VAT has collapsed?
More or less.
What do you
the
mean?
VAT gap is quite huge. A lot of people are collecting the VAT, but they're not paying the VAT. Some are not actually paying what is due the state. Obviously, because the rates became so high, and so the compliance rate also dropped. The reforms we are putting in place will revive the VAT. And in reviving the VAT, we expect that revenue will go up. And when revenue goes up, and we can see that everybody is paying its fair share, their fair share, now we can have a conversation around that. Then we can graciously reduce the VAT from where we are to levels that will be optimal to support both business and individuals. Ghana's VAT regime is the only VAT regime I have seen in the world that combines VAT and sales tax at the same time. You have different layers, some flat rate, some 3%, some 6%, some paying VAT rate. In some cases, some of them you can deduct input-output, some you cannot deduct input-output. I don't know how come we allow this to be distorted over a period of time. But hey, this is where we are. It needs to be reformed. We are reforming that. We did not only change the rates, but we also moved the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 Ghana cedis to about 750,000 Ghana cedis. What this means is that small-sized businesses will now be exempted from the collection of the VAT. In fact, the Ghana Revenue Authority will deregister you as the VAT registered person. And then after deregistering you, it will mean that you will not charge VAT. So today, if you are small, below 750,000, when Parliament passes the law, you will not be charging VAT any longer.
I see.
And so
that's if your capital is
exactly
750,000.
No, if your annual turnover is less than 750,000, you will not be charging VAT.
You will not be paying VAT.
Yes. You will not charge VAT. And so the person buying from you will not be paying VAT. And so your prices will come down and we will relieve you from them. But on the same VAT, let me also say that there's always been VAT on prospecting and the recognizance and prospecting for for minerals. Now, over the years, there has been a strong lobby, not only that, but strong concern to get that VAT removed. In all honesty, after careful analysis and benchmarking it across other countries, in fact, no country that I have seen around here has VAT on recognizance. And so government has taken a decision to remove that VAT and attract investment in mineral exploration. And so that is another thing that we have done. And then we have also extended there's zero rated VAT for textiles and garment industry up to 2028.
I see. This is the Guta concerns because it's one area that answers part of their issue. Dr. Joseph Obeng, their president, the Guta president, says before the budget was ready, the talk was simplicity, uniformity, and affordability of tax. Informal sector was paying 4% flat rate. So putting the VAT at 20% has sort of affected them in a way, then it pushes them up to that 20%.
No.
Now, it says the reforms has brought segregation into the market. Some will pay, others will not, and that would make business uncompetitive for some of his members.
Okay, so flat rate is sales tax. The Ghana does not operate sales tax. We operate input VAT made up of collecting, being your ability to be able to collect tax and not be able to collect tax. And so what we do here is to exempt companies that do not have the ability to keep those records. So if you do not have the ability to keep records, simple put, will exempt you from the charging of VAT.
Okay.
The segregation he's talking about is that in the same market, you have some companies that have thresholds or sales more than 750,000 Ghana cedis per annum. Those who charge VAT. But those companies that do not have turnover up to 750,000 will be exempted from the charging of VAT. But that is the concept everywhere else in the world. In fact, Guta themselves were consulted heavily in the design of this very tax.
I see.
We have just returned to where we used to be.
Consulted them.
And then, so the consultation was quite deep. We did a lot of consultation before we introduced.
Prior to your coming, we went to the Makola market as well. One of the concerns they have, they say there are some Chinese who have rented a warehouse behind the Cocoa Board area, and that's in the heart of the Central Business District. And they open at 1 a.m. and they sell and close at 5 a.m. So the VAT authorities are not able to even identify them that they are doing their work. So by 6 a.m., the warehouse is shut, and they are selling at very low prices. And, she says inferior goods. We are not able to, also confirm that. But he says that for Ghanaian businesses, when they don't pay taxes, GRA comes at them. These are the people who have devised ways of taking advantage of the loopholes in the system. So
1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Thank you. I've taken note. I've written that, and we'll investigate the matter.
And let's get into a bit more on because you touched on the revenue and the fact that even though you have expenditure increasing by over 12%, you have corresponding revenue increases that will knock it off. Yeah. But we're seeing as well that you've abolished COVID as you promised in the mid-year budget. And the criticism was that why didn't it happen earlier? I remember we spoke after the budget, you indicated you were doing some engagements, and then the broader reforms would lead to the COVID levy being repealed or abolished. The COVID levy alone is taking some 3.7 billion.
Correct.
Of the revenue that you would have used.
Of course.
And the larger reforms altogether, 6 billion cedis. How are you going to make up for this?
Okay, so I think I mentioned the introduction of fiscal electronic devices to be able to collect the VAT, and then also enhance compliance measures that the Ghana Revenue Authority will be introducing. The two put together means that even though we have given back about 6 billion Ghana cedis to households and businesses, the Ghana Revenue Authority will be able to collect the needed tax as estimated. And these taxes will come a long way to be able to support the development of our country. But Alfred, let me say this. Tax policy, the design of tax policy is a complex one. And oftentimes, a lot of people think that increasing rates is what actually leads into the revenue. But it's not always the case. There's an optimal level that you have to reach. And if you are to cross that optimal level, and if care is not taken, it will rather bring your revenue down. Unfortunately, this is what has happened to Ghana's VAT regime. And so, previous administration in particular thought that the easiest way to get revenue is through VAT because it's consumption tax. And so they were jacking the rate left, right, and center anytime they needed revenue. As a result, they distorted the tax. And for example, started introducing taxes such as flat rates within the same VAT regime and distorting the entire tax regime. Now, what we have done, bringing the rates down, actually giving reliefs to Ghanaians in a form of removing the value added, the COVID levy, and then also removing the cascading. We are giving back 6 billion cedis. But you see, we are giving back 6 billion cedis to the honest taxpayer. The honest taxpayer. The person who collects those taxes and pays to the state. The person who pays his tax. We are giving back 6 billion cedis to them. But we are also going to make sure that those dishonest ones are made to collect their taxes and pay it properly. At the same time, that will mean that we are actually jacking up the revenues that will come up. And so you give it up for you if you are an honest taxpayer. Your business, for example, you are going to have about 5-6% reduction in your cost of doing business. And so that 5-6% reduction of cost in doing business will give some money back to yourself. You'll be able to increase your profitability. You may be able to employ and maybe plow back some of the resources for the growth of your business. And that is exactly what we are trying to do.
And I look at Appendix 2A of the if you get to that, the summary of the central government operations as captured in the budget. And the revenue lines, I mean, personal income tax, company tax, that's the corporate taxes, oil receipts, custom taxes, VAT, all of these revenue lines underperformed in the year under review.
Okay. So,
but I see that the COVID levy was one of the consistent ones that did quite well because it was obviously tied to VAT. But it's going to be off our books. So with all of these revenue lines not doing too well, how then are you going to make up for this? So you see what I referenced?
No, but let me explain. What you are making reference, there's an underlying reason around it. You know, economic management is give and take. Customs revenue, when we were preparing the budget, we used at the time, the exchange rate was about 16.4. So that was the time, the exchange rate. And so we estimated the exchange based on the revenue, based on what will come in, the volumes, and then using the exchange rate. Today, the cedi is about 10.92. And so it cannot be that you get the same revenue as estimated. And so that could be a reason. You have oil revenue. You also have mineral income, which is coming from royalties. And so these royalties and oil revenue in particular is based on volume and also the forex that you bring in. So you may have hit the volume, but if the income comes to the United States dollars and you convert it into Ghana cedis, you may see a lower revenue.
Absolutely.
And so it is not because the revenue is underperforming, it's because of some positive news in the economy. And you know, there's always give and take. And so the positive news is that it has also reduced inflation, it has brought prices of goods and services down, but in return, you will notice also that the expenditure line is also going down. It's going down in the sense that there are certain expenditures that were also pegged in dollars. We are servicing our debt in dollars, and so when it also goes down, then it means that you gain from there. So the net effect is what matters most, and I can confidently say that the net effect is very important.
You see, and that's why, because if you look at the Bank of Ghana's, when then they released a report on our FX inflows. Even though the appreciation of the cedi is commendable, it also impacted on especially export revenue.
Yeah, it's normal. I don't think there's an issue with that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we're seeing that
there's always good give and take. I don't think there's
so the cedi appreciation, yes, good news, but we're also having to deal with how it's impacting on our revenue.
You have to look at the overall impact on the economy of the people of Ghana. I think it has been amazing for the overall impact. And so there's always positives and negatives. But what will be the net effect for you and for me and for the country? And we believe that I think it is good for the country.
Well, let's clear this, the expenditure, because I see the breakdown. In 2025, employee compensation was 76 billion thereabout. That is wages and salaries payment. Now in 2026, it's going to increase to 90 billion.
Yep.
That is salaries, wages, 90 billion.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
How are you pegging that with measures to measure and improve productivity? Because, I mean, obviously, we can't be. That's about a chunk of our tax revenue.
Yeah, it's massive. I think it's over 45% of
about 47% the last time I checked.
Of tax revenue. But let me put it this way. You certainly need to remunerate government sector workers and even recruit some to a degree. We recently negotiated wages at 9%. You have to make provision to pay.
Yes.
Recently, we issued financial clearance also for about 13,000 health workers, another 13,000 education workers. All put together, you have to make provision to pay. We are currently going through enlistment processes from both Interior and Defense Ministries, the Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police Service, Immigration, Fire, all put together. We have estimated 10,000 recruitment.
Yes.
That must be done, and you have to pay. And so all of that put together is based on doctors, nurses, and everything put together, will give you the 90 billion cedis.
But give me an idea of the backlog of the unemployed who are, that is in the health and education sector. You said 13,000 in education, 13,000 in health. So that's about 26,000.
That is not the backlog. That is what we have.
You have done.
Currently recruited.
I
think the backlog is more than that. The Ministry of Education alone says their backlog is about 78,000.
78,000.
And then made up of teachers and I think both basic, secondary level, about 78,000. And I think they also mentioned the fact that the universities had to recruit. And all put together, they were talking about 78,000. 78,000. And so you need to quantify how much it will cost the state to be able to pay these numbers if they are recruited. Currently, they have not recruited 78,000. We just gave them financial clearance for 13,000. I was surprised to have noted that since 2021, the backlog has been there since 2021, and some, particularly teachers and non-teaching staff requirement, they are behind since 2021, particularly in the area of healthcare also. We have nurses that have not been posted since 2021 and 2022.
Wow. And well, see, this is an issue. It's a whole big matter that we'll have to deal with if we get into it, because even before you're coming, quite a number of the health professionals who are awaiting financial clearance also sent messages asking when. The 2023 year group says, when are you going to give them financial clearance for them to be employed? 2024 year group, someone also sent us a message. That is for the nurses who have completed their training, awaiting clearance to be employed. The teachers as well sent a message. So this answers the question.
So you've seen that even what we've done alone is given the government of Ghana will need 90 billion cedis to be able to pay these public sector workers. And an attempt to increase it without estimating the cost may push you to 100 billion plus. And clearly it may crowd out certain social spending. Because if you are to employ a teacher, yes, you have to pay the teacher, but you should also be mindful that you need to build a school and keep the school in a shape that the teacher can be in the school to teach. If you employ a nurse, you need to make sure that there is a hospital for the nurse to be able to go into the hospital and provide her service to support the national building.
Well, CAPEX is one area as well that I know that you haven't to have looked into as well. Capital expenditure is going up from 33 billion cedis in 2025 to 57 billion.
Yes, correct.
In one fiscal year, capital expenditure is increasing by some 23 billion. How do you intend to deal with this? And much of it is on roads, I see.
So, you know, the president has announced his flagship Big Push program, and we are using the gains that we have made, the economy, and the additional revenues that are coming in. We are sending majority to be able to build our roads and to invest in some critical sectors of the economy. And so that is exactly what we are doing. The numbers you are seeing are correct. It's 57 billion, actually. And Big Push alone is getting about 30 billion Ghana cedis for the 2026 fiscal year.
And you have 4.3 billion for the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Correct.
For road construction.
Correct.
And this also captures the bush.
Yes.
Big
no,
push?
That is different from the Big Push. The ministry itself has their own budget of 4.3 billion cedis. So remember, the ministry is an MDA. They have their routine maintenance and others that they do. They have contracts that they have awarded in their books, and they will have to have their budget. And that is the 4.3. Aside that, we have about 3 billion cedis going to the Road Maintenance Trust Fund. And that is coming from the other things like fuel levy, the road tolls and all. So that is the source of revenue coming from there. So beyond the 30 billion, the Ministry of Roads and Highways is getting another 3 billion and another 4.3 billion. So that gives you approximately 37.3 billion Ghana cedis.
I see. And for the roads, we've been looking into it because a chunk of the arrears that you audited, the over 68 billion cedis that you said, look, you are not going to pay. You want the Auditor General to audit these arrears to confirm whether indeed these are legitimate claims that are being made. You touched briefly on it in there that about 10 billion cedis out of the 68 billion had been disallowed. And I've been looking into the interim report of the Auditor General. It seems quite concerning. But with this big push, I saw that the Pokwase Nsawam Road has been captured.
Yes, correct.
But in 2022, you were in Parliament. Some $750 million was taken from the African Exim Bank alone to construct this road. Where is the money? What did the money? What do you use the money for?
I can tell you that there's no money left. The money has been spent.
750 million.
It has been spent. It was spent before I got to the ministry, and the road is still in progress. Since I became a minister, we have paid 77 million United States dollar equivalent to the contractor. As we speak, the contractor has not generated additional invoice, but I can assure you that if he does generate the invoice or IPC, Government of Ghana will pay that invoice and to make sure that that road is completed.
But to the extent that the loan was taken in the name of the people of Ghana,
yes.
And what the money was supposed to be used for, not just for the, this Pokwase Nsawam Road, the 750 million, there were quite a number of projects, the Swami interchange and so on, but some amount of money was supposed to go in there. If it has not been used for the construction, is it something you are minded to look into?
Oh, yes. I think I've already looked into it. I've seen that part of the resources was used for other expenditures other than the construction of that road.
Other expenditures like what?
I don't have the details with me, but I think if you are minded, by Monday I can share the details with you how they use the resources from that particular loan. It was paid into an account, and you know how money is fungible and everything. went just like that.
But the entire 750 has been drawn down.
It has been drawn down completely. It was drawn down bullet.
You say bullet like at once?
At a go.
And
that's the structure of the loan they took.
So how much have we paid back?
That loan is under restructuring.
Okay.
And it's part of the debt that we are restructuring at the moment. And I think, I don't have the details with me, but we began debt servicing before the restructuring. So some has been paid, but a chunk has not been paid.
I see. And this special arrears audit, 8.6 billion under review, 47.8 billion have been validated legitimate claims. 10.4 billion, you say you are rejecting it because of what?
Okay. According to the Auditor General, some of the amount that they have rejected have already been paid, and those same IPCs or invoices have been recycled back for payment. You see,
how?
I have carefully decided not to talk about this audit yet because I'm waiting for the Auditor General to submit his report to Parliament. But Alfred, what is in the report will shock this nation.
Beyond what we've seen already?
Oh, you've not seen anything yet. Let's wait for the report. If I had not conducted that audit, about 1 billion Ghana cedis that has already been processed by the Ministry of Finance, sitting at Controller and Accountant General in the Bank of Ghana, what we call the bank transfer advice. 1 billion cedis already gone through the process with all the signatures and all would have been paid. The Auditor General rejected 1 billion cedis of the BTAs. These are BTAs that shouldn't have been issued at all because the information they brought, for example, the store's receipt advice that they brought that they have performed the function were all falsified. In some cases, they were duplicated. In some cases, they were recycled IPCs and all. But just wait for next week. Let me go through this budget and the Auditor General will issue his final report and you'll see for yourself where we were. And I said to myself that if by auditing 13 billion cedis of BTAs, BTAs are bank transfer advices. And
which essentially means
before BTAs are checks. This means I've signed a check that I've finished everything, take your check and go and get money. The only reason they stopped is I got to the ministry on the 22nd and the 23rd. I said, stop everything. Let's wait. And so when it was stopped, I said, don't pay. I wrote to the governor, don't pay, you don't pay, wait and let me conduct audit. And 1 billion of the 13 billion happens to be checks that shouldn't have been written. Let me put it this way. Now, if by auditing 13 billion, you can reject 1 billion, then the question is, based on all what we have paid over the years, how much of it is fictitious or how much of that amount happens to be illegitimate? And so I think I've always said that Ghana's problem is waste. See, we waste money too much. There's too much waste in the system. And if we are able to cut the waste, this country will progress.
But how come that these fictitious claims, duplicate, recycled IPCs, inflated invoices, falsified stores receipt, all of this, the system in the Controller and Accountant General Department, anyway,
you cannot blame the controller. Controller is.
Who should I blame?
You can't blame. I think it starts from somewhere. For example, if an IPC has been issued, the IPC wasn't issued, for example, by the Bank of Ghana, for example, by the Controller or by the Ministry of Finance. It was generated by a ministry department or agency.
Which is still...
And then going through the process, so they sign and bring it and charge it against their budget and bring it to the Ministry of Finance.
So it's a systemic collusion.
Exactly. And also, I think there's a lot wrong with our PFM architecture, public financial management architecture of this country. The situation is that today, government of Ghana is at the mercy of a contractor to be able to ascertain how much the state owes to X contractor. This is wrong. This is just wrong. In fact, I'm waiting for the audit report to come public, and I'll announce the measures we are putting in place to curb this going forward, because the system must change. And if the system doesn't change, it doesn't matter how much revenue we get, we waste it, and this country will never develop. That is a legacy I want to leave. I want to change the way we process expenditure in this country, and I want to be able to, at a glance, be able to know that the history and the trail of contractor X and contractor Y, based on contract that they have been awarded, how much we have paid them to date, and how much we owe them at a glance, and you should be able to know. That needs to be done. But other than that, what we are doing, we will be coming here all the time and be raising the revenue, but we will not be able to use the revenue. But if you bear with me, we'll move away from this. We'll wait for the Auditor General to issue his report. He's assured me, I've seen a copy of the report, I've read it. He's going to make it public sometimes next week, and we'll all have a
because at least, even with what I've been analyzing with the interim report, which I saw, there are over 3,000 contractors, companies listed in this interim report.
Yeah.
Only 25 out of the 3,000 companies account for 50 billion.
Bring me here after the audit report, and then we can have detailed conversation.
It's a bigger conversation, because then it's quite concerning. But you talk about this value for money office. Is it going to be able to deal with some of these things?
Yes.
The independent value for money. Yes, just a quick one on that. I don't want to move on to that.
We are establishing an independent value for money office. We think it's long overdue. The current structure of value for money is more or less a given, and we need to reform how contracts are evaluated. Clearly, a lot of our contracts in the country is either inflated or overpriced. And we do not have a national architecture to be able to ascertain whether a contract A has been overpriced or has been inflated. As a result, the Ministry of Finance and government thought it necessary to establish an office for value for money. Today, we do a bit of value for money at the Ministry of Finance. The legal department does the value for money. But we need to go beyond that. We have looked at country-specific models. We've seen the United States model, we've seen the Canadian, the UK and Australian models, and other models across. And so we modeled ours in line with best practice. And we think from day one, every year,
and
the independent value for money office
of the public procurement authority.
No. A public procurement authority does not have a mandate to do value for money. It's currently the Ministry of Finance that does the value for money.
It's the Ministry of Finance that
the Ministry of Finance. We have been doing value for money all these years.
And do you have?
We do not have the expertise to be able to do proper
so
value for money. So
then how have you been doing value for money without expertise?
But that is the question, and that is why we are coming out with this office, clothed enough with powers to be able to do.
When you announced that ECG had increased their revenue by almost 90%, from 900 million to 1.7 billion
per month,
I had quite a number of the analysts call me that, look, you need to clarify this matter, because prior to this moment, we know that ECG was making much more money than it was declaring.
Yes.
The PwC report revealed a number of things. And before the end of the year, we got to know that on the average, some 1.3 billion CDs ECG was making on a monthly basis. At some point, even in the last quarter, it increased to about 1.5 billion a month. So what do you mean by it's increased its revenue by 90%?
Okay. ECG, per their books and per the cash waterfall mechanism, were reporting 900 million Ghana cedis per month. No doubt about that. If they were hiding or not disclosing everything, that is a matter to deal with. Since January, the 900 million Ghana cedis has been increased, and today ECG is reporting 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per month. And this amount is going to the cash waterfall mechanism.
I see.
In the past, it wasn't going in there. The minister responsible for energy has been working very close with the Electricity Company of Ghana. And the reforms they are putting in place has gone a long way. In fact, it has assisted the state to be able to pay the IPPs on time. And today, I can confidently say that we are no longer accruing arrears owed to independent power producers, whilst the Ministry of Finance has taken up the responsibility of paying the legacy arrears. We have actually finished negotiation with independent power producers, and I can confidently say that after the negotiation, we saved in excess of 250 million United States dollars. And then after saving that, we've been able to spread the remaining 1.2 billion equivalent, 1.1 billion for a period of 4 years. And so this year, we have already paid $300 million, and next year we are paying $344 million.
I see. So this jump in revenue is just because there's strict compliance to the cash water flow mechanism, and not because ECG has sort of, found ways of
I think it's more than that.
So cutting down on the power theft and the technical losses and so on. That was also taking some money away.
So, couple of things. The first has to do with making sure that they report whatever revenue that they have accrued and collecting the revenue. Sometimes the ECG in question may collect some money and not disclose. Today they are disclosing. So if you collect something you fail to disclose, it's not revenue, isn't it? It is only when you disclose that it becomes revenue. And so they are disclosing whatever they are collecting. They've also intensified the collection. And on the quiet, they are doing a lot of work. And based on that, they have actually increased their revenue going into the cash waterfall from end year last year, 900 million US Ghana cedis to now 1.7 billion. And that is about 90% jump. But apart from that, their expenditures are also going down. In the past, they were buying things that they may not require for 5 to 10 years. Today, they buy only what they need. And all of that is contributing to the forward march of the cash waterfall. And today, I have said that we are paying the IPPs on time. And IPPs will confirm to you that the cash waterfall mechanism is working and we are paying them on time.
The economy, that picture looks good as you posted and painted. And the clear indication that we've seen is all the margins and everything we're looking at trending in the positives. The rating agencies have confirmed that, which is critical as well because of investor outlook. But your critics say, look, you can't claim credit for this. You only came to inherit a program that was carefully structured to achieve this outcome. So you were only going by the IMF program, essentially, which was entered into by the NPP. And so you've just gone by it. It's not like you instituted any policies or interventions, measures to achieve this. Why are you taking credit for this?
I've heard MPP say this, but if it was that simple, why didn't they do that? If clearly the economy can rebound that fast under their regime, why didn't they do it? And I heard the immediate past minister, Honorable Amin, my colleague in Parliament, in a press statement. I've been at the Ministry of Finance for 10 months, okay? I was there in February, yes, so 10 months, even less than 10 months. He was there for the same period as minister. And his record speaks for itself. And my record speaks for itself. So he was there same period that I was there. Okay, in fact, he was there, I think February or so, till January.
Yes.
I've been there from February now to November. So maybe he stayed even more than me. And so his record speaks for itself, and this record speaks for itself. The MPP were the same people that drove this country to the mess that we are seeing. And we had to sacrifice to be able to turn the tide. Let me say this. What we have been able to achieve is largely because of discipline and prudent policies. And the coordination we are seeing from the fiscal authorities and the monetary authorities. That is what is giving us the results. And most importantly, the backing from President Mahama, because I couldn't have achieved the discipline that I'm introducing without the backing of the president. And because of his backing, government is able to make the necessary changes in our fiscal management. If not him, this couldn't have been achieved. I may have the intentions, but I will certainly need his backing. And the sort of backing I'm getting from His Excellency the President is giving me the will, the political will to implement the reforms, very deep-seated reforms in the affairs of managing our fiscal. And that is what is yielding the results that we are seeing. It has also afforded the monetary authorities the opportunity to introduce an effective monetary policy to respond to the need of the country. Because, look, let me say this. Nothing will work, no monetary policy will work if the fiscal is not anchored properly. I'm anchoring the fiscal properly because I'm getting the political support to be able to do it. And today we are seeing the need. It didn't happen under MPP. IMF program will not succeed by itself if you do not anchor it properly. And today we are seeing the results because of management, prudent management, and political will that we are implementing. Well, they couldn't have done that. They couldn't have done it. You know how indisciplined they are. You saw that they were just spending as if there was no tomorrow.
You only came in and
what sort of process? What sort of process?
And then also ensuring that you go by what is within.
Okay, so I think if they are good at what they do and stay in that ministry for that long, they would have been able to turn the tide. And for Ghanaians to appreciate that at least they could do something. But let me say this. Prior to the election, I was a minority leader. I had publicly said that all what MPP needs to do at the time was to be disciplined and to implement policies to bring down the deficit and to coordinate effectively between the fiscal authorities and the monetary authorities. And at a point, even in Parliament, I said that a lot more can change if they do well. Yeah. Unfortunately, they did not do that.
Right.
So it is them.
I see.
It is them.
No.
We are ready to make a difference, and we are doing just that.
The city has rebounded. Yes. We've seen the appreciation. 10 city, 59, thereabout. And over the period, there was some fluctuation sometime in October, thereabout. Yes. We're going into this fiscal year where you're going to spend a lot more. We've seen the injections by the central bank. This is unsustainable.
Why?
Obviously.
Why is it unsustainable?
To the extent
why is it unsustainable? And that is the question I find it a little bit difficult to comprehend.
But why should there be the policy to sustain the gains of the city by just pumping in?
No. Okay, so the central bank has a role. They have a role to build reserves. They have a role to intermediate and also to introduce an effective monetary policy. They may have a target to say this year we want to build reserves by X. By the way, we inherited 6.8 billion cedis worth of Gulf international reserves. And this is what President Akufo-Addo built 8 years in office, 6.8 billion. Even including what President Mahama left behind, 6.8 billion. We've been in office for how long?
They quote a different figure.
6.8 billion. Just check. It's 6.8. We came to office in January. Today, the gross international reserves is 12 billion. Almost doubled. The intermediation I'm talking about, I'll confirm that, but I know it's 6.8. The intermediation I'm talking about is such that if the central bank plans to, for example, build reserves of $1 billion, for example, this month, and they get reserves in excess of, say, 3 billion, they can decide to intermediate by giving the banks another $1 1 billion out of the 3 billion and build maybe twice. And that is exactly what they are trying to do. And so I want to say that the central bank is getting the needed forex. They are using some of the forex to be able to support or build buffers for the state. Yes. But aside that, they are also spending,
but
giving
it is
some
the tune
to
of the interventions that we're talking about in the support of the city. 1 billion at some point, 1.15 billion,
yes.
1.4
so
billion.
Are you saying the central bank should not intermediate? Is that what you are trying to say?
No, not at all.
Okay, but let me ask you this.
The quantum of the...
But let me ask you this. Are they doing it at the expense of burning their bottom line? No.
There's more forex.
So there's more forex. They are doing it at the same time building more reserves.
But is that the only way to sustain the value of the city?
But you see, first of all, if the country earns the reserves, and what you need to ask yourself is that, are they borrowing to do that? We are not borrowing to build the reserves and obviously using the reserves to support the market. No. This is being built organically through increased exports from cocoa and gold. Ghana's exports from cocoa and gold. They are building reserves faster, at the same time using part of the reserves that they have built, the excess reserves, to be able to intermediate. Right. And I think that has been very helpful. And so I've heard some people talk about this. The difference is that they were not able to build the reserves.
Right.
Today, this group are building reserves. And we are building enough reserves, and we are using the differences to be able to intermediate and support the forward march of our currency.
I see. But in terms of dealing with the structure of the economy as well, so as to support this appreciation, because then again, we cannot do this in the long term without changing the structure. Talking about the production, manufacturing.
I perfectly agree. But those things takes a bit of time. You don't, for example, improve your exports in 2 months. You can't do that. It takes some time.
Right.
You need policies in place to be able to improve on your exports.
Yes.
Industries and all. For example, we are talking of building an integrated oil palm policy that will cultivate about 100,000 hectares of palm,
right,
and be able to bring in a minimum of about 500 million United States dollars in a form of exports revenue. That will take a bit of time.
Right.
It is not overnight.
Right.
For example, the gestation period for oil palm alone is about 5 years. Cocoa, 3 years. To improve that, it will take a while. So you need some quick fixes, at the same time changing the structure of the economy. And so you don't use the quick fixes and assume that that's it. For example, I'll give you one example that happened in the energy sector. Government of Ghana, some time ago, when there was shortfall in the power generation, we brought in an emergency power, isn't it? But it was not supposed to stay for that long because it's quite expensive and all. Some are ship, car power and all. But our plan was to bring in these emergency powers to solve a problem, and after that, be able to build a proper thermal plant that will take a while with lower tariffs. But what has happened? Government of Ghana went to sleep since then. Today, the emergency powers are still there.
That's the same way the minorities are accusing
this is what I'm trying to tell you, that aside what we are doing, the quick fixes, we are announcing policies that will, in the long run, come in to augment the shortfalls that we are seeing.
So but
truth be told, cocoa has rebounded.
True.
And we are seeing cocoa revenues going up.
True.
This is our cocoa. Truth be told, gold has inched up. This is our gold being exported and bringing in the revenue. That is a fact. But I'm saying that we are building huge reserves on the back of these two major commodities and other non-traditional exports. But there's a lot more we can do in future.
Okay.
And government of Ghana is announcing policies that will drive this growth, and we believe that that will be done going forward.
Has the IMF gone to sleep and allowing you to just, you think
IMF will sleep? You think IMF will? But what do you want them to say? They were in office for 8 years. You saw their scorecard. Everybody saw what they did. I mean, it's not for me to say. And so today, after leaving office and in 10 months, and they see significant change, obviously they will be concerned and that they want to find out what has really happened. But what has happened is simple. We are more disciplined than they are. I think that is the bottom line. And they could have done this with just being disciplined. It's not rocket science, just be disciplined. And what I've learned in fiscal management is that indiscipline you can never win. You will lose if you are indisciplined, and you will certainly get it wrong if you are indisciplined. And so if you decide to be disciplined, you will succeed.
Dr. Kasiela Tufor-Singh is Finance Minister. He's going to take leave of us, but I have a few people also joining in. As I indicated, my guest set already. Professor Godfrey Boppin is taking his seat. Just a couple of minutes. And then Dr. George Dunfair as well, for the first time in a long while, is joining us in the studio as well. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
You sandwich the Finance Minister.
I enjoy it.
Good morning.
Just to give you safety so that we can talk a bit of economics, isn't it? Prof, how are you all? Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you again.
But Doc, you had held the view that this progress we are seeing had nothing to do with Dr. Kasiela Tufor-Singh. You still hold that position?
Yes, to a larger extent.
Why?
And let me say good morning to my honorable finance minister, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Yeah, you see, Ghana had a problem, especially from the year 2000. So he was talking about fiscal, discipline. If I have to even take it from that angle, you get to know that fiscal discipline is always reflected in the primary balance. And for the first time in 15 years, Ghana recorded this positive primary balance in 2017. 2018, we recorded...
At what rate?
I might not be able to give you the figure, but the fact is that it happened for the first time in 15 years. I can't give you all the figures. I've been discussing
the rate at which it happened also is important to the scheme of things.
I'm just bringing it to support what is currently happening at 1.5.
Okay.
Projection. So, what he said yesterday, 1.5 is in mind. But I'm just trying to take us back. That 2017, we had positive primary balance for the first time in 15 years. We were under an IMF program, and so the fiscal, discipline, I wasn't surprised. 2018, we had another positive primary balance, and 2019 as well. And this was almost a history for Ghana to have primary balances for 3 consecutive years is something you don't hear. And so we entered the year 2020. And what happened, I don't need to... Hello.
Let's round it up. Because he has to leave us.
Okay, so what happened in the years after 2019, I don't need to tell... things were really difficult for Ghana, for the global economy, and it really affected Ghana. 2024, first half of the year, we had positive primary balance of 0.7%.
Okay, so the point is,
and this year during the first half of the year, we had 1.1%. And so when it's about fiscal consolidation or fiscal prudence, it's not as if we haven't seen it happening. We saw it happening indeed. There was a whole law to that that was put together. And he was in Parliament. Fiscal Responsibility Act to make sure at least we don't push our fiscal deficit beyond 5% of our GDP.
Thank you.
It was implemented in 2019, but it had to be suspended when we entered the year 2020. And indeed, 2020, I don't think anybody could have done anything to prevent the fiscal deficit that let me
minutes to spend. So,
briefly. Let me respond briefly. Prof, I disagree with you when you say that 2020 no government could have nobody could what did you say? That
no, there was nothing
we could do about it.
The fiscal deficit.
Okay, so let me put it this way.
And I know
the different view. Let me give you a different view.
I know the different view.
Ghana is the only country in the entire Africa that did primary deficit of 12% that year.
Yeah.
The only country.
So are you saying?
No, let me land.
Wait.
Our peers did the deficit at the time between 6 and 5%. COVID did not only affect Ghana.
Yeah.
It affected, it was a pandemic. But you see, the government at the time decided to hide behind COVID and overspend. And today, we all saw the benefit of overspending. We saw it clearly. But today, I'm telling you, this is the first time I'm doing fiscal deficit, a primary surplus on commitment basis at 1.6% as at September. 1.6%.
Did you say 1.5?
1.5 was the target, and I've done 1.6 as at September.
Okay.
I thought you would say, well done. No, I thought you said well done because it's not easy. And you know, Prof, that doing 1.6% surplus in 1 year has never happened before, and I've done it for the first time.
Okay.
And if you are saying that we have done nothing, it's unfortunate.
No, I haven't said that. That's why I was taking us back to where we were. If we had followed that trend from 2019, maybe we would have even done better than the one.
But it was suspended, and it should have been reinstated.
It was suspended, but we are talking about 2020. Let me quickly take us there. When the budget was read, the projections were that we were going to spend 85 billion against total revenue of 66 billion. That would have translated into 4.7% fiscal deficit, and so we would have been within the remits of the law.
Yes. Yeah. So the conversation will continue.
Then during the crisis, we spent 104 billion. Our revenue that we were supposed to rake in 66, we got only 55. Port. We all know that import duties.
Okay,
it's just a chunk of our revenue. Nothing was coming. And so we experienced that revenue shortfalls. Okay, and here you can't blame those who were managing the economy at the time for the loss of, for the shortfalls in the revenue.
Because he will have to leave.
Okay, let me.
He's been here and he has to exit. There are quite a number of messages, as a matter of fact. Some of them I weaved into the questions that I asked you. And Professor Bobkin is here as well, so we'll continue the conversation. This one that said, Alfred, can Dr. Atuforsen explain some of the cost build-up and when it will come down at the ports? I remember you mentioned the leakages at the port and then also the abuse that is going on in there. It says import duty, import VAT, processing fee, ECOWAS levy, upfront payment by VAT on registered vehicle certification. That's for the import of vehicles. The number of taxes on there. Is it one that you are looking at?
Okay, I thought you will allow Professor Bokpin to speak so that I can sum it up since I have to go.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and then
I'm mindful of your time.
No, so that's let Professor Bokpin speak. And then
thank you for coming to my aid.
I think government deserves a commendation for where we are. There's still fiscal consolidation. Of course, it comes at a cost. We would analyze the cost. It's just like taking a pill that has a side effect and all of that. And let me also say that 2017, 2018 primary surplus you spoke about simply because we did not adopt a consolidated approach. We had the energy sector and the financial sector cleanup that were treated below the line, and all of that, which allowed us to meet the IMF thresholds and the rest of them. And even when we passed the Fiscal Responsibility Act, that capped a fiscal deficit at 5%. We're doing more than 5% if we had consolidated the energy sector and the financial sector cleanup. If you consolidate that, we're doing around 7.1%, 7.2%, and all of that. So the accounting treatment and all of that would have accounted for this. But I think that we have sufficient data to learn from our own history. And I believe that government has responded quite well in terms of the fiscal consolidation. And then now we need to cut growth going forward. I've seen the steps in the budget and the rest of them. And I think that, yes, we've paid a higher price. Here is not time to vindicate ourselves. It reminds me of what happened towards the middle of 2019 when we were exiting the IMF program. We had a forum at Imani, and we made our recommendations and all of that. Honorable Minister, since you are here, you have the option to set a new marking scheme, which posterity will use to judge subsequent government in terms of how we can ensure fiscal discipline whilst we pursue growth post-IMF program.
Okay.
If we look at what is happening now, we can relate it to what also happened in 2017, 2018, when we're under IMF program, the diligence and all of that. Then when we exited the program, it looks like there was a relapse quite quickly. So we have an option of going that same way, of setting a new marking scheme. And I pray that 3 years from now, if we get a chance to meet here, the narrative will be different.
Will have to be.
Yes, and that is what I want to say.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
In fact, we got a call number. Senior also says it is unfair to not attribute the fiscal and macroeconomic progress to Dr. Atufosi and the NDC management of affairs. The gold ball policy alone is a major homegrown policy that optimizes our gold and ethics. And Dr. Atufosi deserves that.
Okay.
Dr. Atufosi deserves that.
So let me conclude then, so that I can move to another station. Clearly, the number speaks for itself. The gains we have made is feasible and it is measurable. The numbers they say don't lie.
True.
And so, toss it, roast it. In the end, you can see the outcome of our policies. I agree with Prof. We have a responsibility to sustain these gains. And we need to have a nice balance between consolidation, stability, and growth, and particularly job creation.
Right.
And that is the next level I'm going.
Perfect.
And you notice that this budget was carefully designed to, at the same time, accelerate, create jobs, and most importantly, consolidate the gains we've made over the years. That, I will do that. And I want to use this opportunity to first thank the people of Ghana for their resilience and tightening of their belt to support the gains that we have made. But I can also say that in loosening up, we will loosen up sustainably.
Right.
Create job, preserve growth, and allow growth to go into the real sector and invest prudently by cutting waste and directing the waste to support investment. That is where we are going. We will, at the same time, ensure that we protect the poor by shielding them. And that is why you notice in the budget that social protection budget is going up. You notice that
very important.
LEAP budget is going up, school feeding budget is going up, and many others. In fact, even at the district level, I've increased the allocation from the District Assembly's Common Fund that goes to persons with disability from 3 to now 5%.
Right.
We are using part of the resources to buy motorized vehicles, wheelchairs, to support even people with disability and all. Right. And so I think where we've gotten to is good. We are on the right path. But what is most important is how to sustain the gains.
Indeed.
And we'll do whatever it takes. And I'm sure next year by this time, when I appear before you again on this show to discuss the 2027 budget, the story will be the one that we have sustained gains and even move into another level of growth.
Perfect. A quick response to the tax on the taxes on vehicle imports.
You see, the taxes on vehicle imports is a build-up.
Okay.
COVID levy is going. In fact, I think Sunday the Finance Committee will meet and we'll discuss it, we'll take it to Parliament, and when Parliament approves and it gets assented, COVID will be gone. So COVID levy is going. We have also removed the cascading effect of the decoupling of GetFund and NHIL. So that alone will mean that almost 2% of the taxes at the port is going to come down. And it's part of the rationalization of the levies. And so you should wait and see that in January. So from 1st of January, all these taxes that we are removing will take place. And you can reflect it when you go to a restaurant, you can reflect it when you go to a shop, you can reflect it when you are taking something from the port.
Dr. Kasiela Tufor is Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana, Acting Defense Minister. Quite a number of things we had to talk about.
Thank you.
We couldn't touch on because of time. And as is indicated, there's media budget review, there's 2027 budget presentation. So there's a few times he'll make some time and join us.
Thank you.
But I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Cheers.
Dr. Kasiela Tufor.
Thank you.
It's going to take a of us, but I've also been joined by Kofi Bentil. He is private legal practitioner, vice president of Imani Africa. Mr. Bentil, thank you for joining us. In fact, when you were just about walking in, we had Professor Bobkin reference a forum that you put together at Imani and what had to be done as well. I mean, listening to the finance minister, does it answer the question about what we have been doing over the period, why we are where we are, and what can be done to sustain where we intend to go quickly? Good to have you, by the way.
It's good to hear the finance minister, and we've all experienced the economy in the last year or 10 months. And just to put the basics down, this finance minister has done very well. I think he embodies what President Mahama embodies. He's calm, he's focused on the job, he's not pretentious. It doesn't come across as if he knows everything. And those who are close to him say he will listen and take advice. If I had to create a finance minister after what Mohamed Amin did, it would be this man, Kasiela Tufor. They are very similar. We had a bad situation
so what
under
do you mean by
Ken.
he's not pretentious and he doesn't...
I'm comparing him to others.
Yes.
You know, sometimes he occupies a very powerful position. All right. And some people sit in that position and they pretend they know everything. They, you know, you give them, I remember having discussions with some of those people in the Ministry of Finance, and the consensus on one side was the same. And the person will tell you that, well, I've heard what you said, but I'll still do what I want to do because I believe this is what is right for us. And he crashed. So I'm saying there's a difference in this approach. I was saying that Mohamed Amin, when he came in, really did a very good job in the few months that he was there in the MPP. He really took a handle on the issue and stabilized it. And Kasiela Tufor has continued that. He has been very steady, he has been very disciplined, and he has held this economy. So I give him full marks for that. All right. But what we must appreciate, and what we was telling you about some of this, sometimes economics is math. 2 + 2 is 4 in Kokomemle, and it's 4 in New York. And they are the professors, and they can tell you, when you understand what is going on, you can tell where things must go. So, yeah, we had that forum, and we thought, yeah, this should be the general, trajectory. And they have gone by it. The other issue is that we are under what we call in Imani adult supervision. That is IMF. 17 times. And every time we have been under IMF, we have conducted ourselves well. All right. So I commend him for being a good shepherd. But the best sailors are those who can manage the ship in the storm when nobody else is helping them. What I mean is, when the IMF is gone, when you have to deal with the political pressures and everything coming, that is where we will know the stuff he's made of. Every cycle is such that the year after election is consolidation. In fact, 2 years after election, we keep things calm. From the third and then the final fourth year, where the elections kick in, you have a situation where then the spending goes haywire.
Indeed.
As we speak, Bob was telling you about the price we have had to pay. The price we've paid in this economy is that there is little spending, there's a lot of discipline, there's consolidation and mopping up, okay, and everybody's, making sure that we are not wasting things here and there. So I'm saying we can't ask for better. They have done a very good job. Kasiela Tufor is the right man for the job. But we are looking forward to him managing with such a steady hand when we don't have IMF and adult supervision, and when the real pressures come in for spending, when they have to pay people, and when they have to do the things that the politicians need and have to do to win elections.
As 2028 comes.
That's it, to win elections. Okay, so kudos to him. Yes, elections.
Good. When we begin to pay our debt in full.
That's what I'm saying.
That is where
look, so far he's on the right track. I just want to emphasize
start well to end well.
Start well. But you see, the point is, most people start well. Look, remember that, and in Imani we have been tracking this. So under Ken, before they came, we were under IMF.
Yeah.
And we did so well under IMF that when the MPP government came in, they said, look, we don't even need IMF.
Yeah.
We can do this by ourselves. And they truncated the IMF program, put it aside, and then proceeded on their own. Okay? So, point is, we know what to do and how to do it well. But we do it under adult supervision. The question is, when these adult supervision guys are gone, are we going to continue to be disciplined when the spending demands come in, when Roxanne and Co start asking you for roads and you are paying
in their constituencies?
So, we wish for the best, but I'm saying Kessiel so far is showing us that he's the right person.
What will happen is that you see ministers awarding contract at their level without the Minister of Finance.
I'll take your verdict on the state of affairs. Let me acknowledge the fact that Professor Ransford Jampo is going to be joining us. Martin Pebu is also in the studio. We have Nelson Roxon Dafemepor, the majority chief whip and member of parliament for the South Dye constituency. You say he's a strong man. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And then, as we go on, Dr. Zato is also going to be joining us. He's in the studio as well. Please, sorry.
Okay.
You're saying good morning to your constituents, as usual.
Good morning to my friends, Professor Bokin, Dr. Domfe, yes, and of course my brother Kofi.
Who you have abandoned?
I haven't abandoned you. It's the work. You know we are inundated with work, and you can see yourself. Good morning to my constituency, Peki Kwali Kwevetongo. Budget was read. It's been well received, and so we hope that as MPs we are ready to go through the post-budget tutelage to be ready by Tuesday for the policy debates.
Okay.
And then after we'll consider the estimates and hopefully pass the appropriation by the 23rd or the 24th of December before Christmas.
Do you have a choice not to pass it?
We do.
Okay, right. Let's do this. And I'll start off from Dr. Donfe for good reason. And listening to the finance minister, it's clearly indicated what path he's taking going into 2026. And the three thematic areas that this budget is hinged on: fiscal consolidation, job creation and accelerated economic growth, strengthening security and social sectors. Does this budget give that indication of achieving these objectives? What's the verdict exactly that you put on this?
Yeah, my verdict, but before I come to declare my verdict on the budget, let me quickly respond to my friend Senor Hosi. I don't think I agree with him. If you, I'll just share with Prof. Ami Bokman about the numbers.
You are 5 minutes.
The gold. Gold, if you look at the figures from Bank of Ghana recently, the last 10 years, gold inflows, merchandise gold and inflows never hit 7 billion until 2003, when we hit 7.6 billion for the first time. 2024, it jumped to 11.6 billion. We've never seen anything like that. 2024, there was no gold board. So sometimes attribution, we have to be very careful when we are talking as if everything happening is because of the gold board. Indeed, at the beginning of the year, when it was PMMC and it wasn't gold board, the inflows through PMMC was 506 million. This increased to, it increased to 897 million, almost 900, and in April. And gold board started its operation in May. And so if now we have moved from almost 900 to 1.1 billion, and you think that gold board is doing so much, then we are deceiving ourselves, because it was already doing, the increase was already there when it was, PMMC. Let us set the record straight. This is where I have a problem. Things are going well.
Saying that the creation and intervention of Gold Board hasn't made any significant impact?
No. I mean, Gold Board is fantastic. I like the idea behind it. But it's too early to push to them almost everything that is happening because, as I said, and the figures are here. I mean, from Bank of Ghana, gold, the last 10 years, the merchandise gold and inflows never went anywhere closer to 7 billion. But 2023, it hit 7.6 billion. 2024, it moved on to 11.4 billion. Look at the jump. There was no Gold Board at the time. And if you look at even this year, when it was PMMC, and the data is here, 506 million, January. By April, it was 897 million. So it was already increasing before Gold Board came. And if Gold Board came, and by September, it has moved to 1.1 billion, 2 million increase. Why are we clapping and jumping as if Gold Board is doing something nobody has ever seen? That is not supported by the data. And this has been my problem, the attribution. So now let me quickly say that the economy is doing well. Anybody who says Ghanaian economy is not doing well today doesn't want to tell the truth. It is true we are doing well, and I have said that we are almost going back to our pre-COVID period where we were doing well because we were under an IMF, and today we are still doing well because we are an IMF. When you pick the growth, for example, 2019, the economy grew at 6.5%, and at the beginning of this year, the first half of the year, according to the finance minister, yesterday, was it yesterday? 3 days ago,
Yes.
when the budget was like, okay.
13.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, so he said that during the first half of the year, the economy grew at 6.3%. And that means that we are almost getting to the 6.5 that we had in 2019. What he said that I don't agree with him was that because of the good policy measures that they put in place, the economy during the first half of the year grew 6.3. Yeah, the economy did very well, growing at 6.3. And last year we had the growth rate of 5.7. So, 2003, it was around 2023, it was around 3%. We didn't do well. And 2024, we moved to 5.7. And so, you don't need anybody to tell you that the growth was already, improving. And when we entered this year, if you look at the sectors that are driving the growth, services and agriculture, I haven't seen this government doing anything so spectacular in the agricultural area, for which reason the agriculture sector grew 6% during the first half of the year. Last year, during the same period, agriculture sector grew 2.9%. That was horrible. It didn't rain last year. And so this year, if it had not rained, we would have witnessed the same thing we witnessed last year. And so the good rainfall is the reason, because you may tell me, maybe I don't know, but that during the first 6 months, there was a particular agricultural policy that this government implemented that pushed the growth from 2.9% it was last year to 6%. Unless you are able to tell me that I haven't seen that. I live in Ghana, I move around Ghana, I was in your constituency a while ago, working throughout the Volta region and Oti regions. I go everywhere, I know the data, I use the data to teach, I drink the data, I eat the data, I know all this. So it will be very surprised for you to tell me that NDC, I'm not saying they are not doing well. They have started well. Implementing the PCPEG, I love it. I'm just hoping that at the end of this show, when an IMF goes, what will become of the PCPEG? Are we going to continue? That is it. Yeah, but let us. If you look at the industrial sector, it didn't do well at all.
2025 budget on agri.
Oh yeah. I like the things there.
So the policies were implemented this year. That's why you see the improvement.
Unless you haven't read agricultural policies
in our 2025
so which sector did it affect? Is it a crop production, maize?
You say you are in the food.
No, I'm in the food. So I've seen your policies. In fact, the budget that you read, we all did the analysis. That was read in April. That budget was read in April. And we're talking about...
It was read in March.
March. March. Yeah. But the implementation started 1st April. It started 1st April. And so within 3 months, NDC implemented a particular, and I want you to tell us, a particular policy that pushed the agricultural sector to grow from 2.9%, it was last year, to 6%.
No, I asked you. We had policies on the agriculture sector in 2025. You are pinning the improvement down to rainfall.
If you keep I'm saying that's significant.
No, you are pinning it down to rainfall.
No. I said
So you said when it rains.
You said we had rain. That's why we are having improvements.
In fact, it has always been like that. When it rains, agriculture sector does well. When it doesn't rain, we don't do well. That's what the data will tell you. Indeed. The last 8 years of NDC, the last 3 years, because it didn't rain well, Akosombo even dried, and we had do so. But it really
Akosombo dried.
Oh, let me come because it's
Akosombo flooded.
Yeah, the water. No, I'm talking about the last 3 years of your
Akosombo flooded 3 years ago. Flooded last year.
I think you're referencing. No, I'm just it didn't dry up. The water levels reduced.
Yeah. So I like that. But I'm saying that I'm not talking about 3 years ago. I'm making reference to 2014, 2015, 2016. When when the economy struggled, agricultural sector was suffering. At that time, it was not raining. Not only did it affect, the water levels in Akosombo, that also brought in its wake Dumso, but it also affected agricultural sector.
What are you saying? If 2024, 2023, the dam overflew. The dam.
I'm talking about 14, 15, 16.
So that's 2014.
Let me.
Okay, gentlemen. So you know what?
Something in context. Allow me to flow.
Okay.
So the context that I'm trying to say is that when it rains, we do well. And as a country, it's not good for us. It's not good for us. Let's accept this. When it rains, I'm not only saying that this year it has rained so well, and everything that has happened to the agriculture sector is because of the rains. I'm saying that significantly because
and that's why the likes of
2015, 2016, when it didn't rain, the agriculture sector
at some point reference that's why the policies like one village, one dam, to solve this situation.
And we didn't see the end.
It never happened.
Can I?
It never happened.
It didn't work.
You see?
It didn't work. So we have to be serious.
Now come to Prof.
Irrigation.
You see, sometimes two sides can be right. Prof. Donfe is right when he says that rain affects agriculture.
Yes, Dr. Donfe.
Sorry, Dr. Donfe. Rain affects agriculture. Generally, and I have Prof here, he can correct me if I'm wrong. In economics, there are shepherds and there are transformers. When you see a growth trajectory, all right, is moving from 1 to 2, you can tell that tomorrow it will be at 3, the next day it will be at 4, ordinarily, without intervention. What shepherds do is that they hold things steady. They don't cause damage. And so they allow things to move, and then you get the growth you want. And note that there are people who are damaging directors. People who, when you hand things over to them, they will bring it down. So you are better off with a shepherd. Now, what Prof is trying to say is that if we didn't do anything, nobody put anything in the mix, we will still reach where we've reached. Where I differ with him a bit is this. We would have reached that place, but a little lower. Okay?
Yes.
What this government has done is to be a good shepherd to make sure we are not going back. And then they have added a little momentum. That's why I say, if you read a budget 31st of March, effectively, in fact, even in April, it won't take effect.
Yeah.
All right. So you can't say it was the reason for anything that happened within a month. All right. So he's right when he says it's the rain, and that has been true since Kwame Nkrumah. But the difference, and if you ask Prof Bob, he will tell you that there was a little nudge upwards.
Do you know there are rainmakers?
Oh, I beg.
I'm asking you. And do you know some people naturally, some regime naturally would attract rain?
Okay, let me finish. So Alfred, what we need to pin down, and I think Dr. Donfe, guys, he was saying similar things about gold board, similar things about the currency and other things. It is true that some of the things we are reaping now started back in the last government. We had 30 tons of gold left. Okay? For this government to inherit. As we speak, we have less than 32 tons. They have added just about 2. So Gold Board has done a good job. But like he was saying, my friend Anakwesi, who was there, did a sterling job and didn't make any noise. And if you look at the trajectory in PMMC, where they were going, you will see why gold board is where it is. So again, they have not damaged anything. They have added some momentum, and that is what we want.
And that is governance.
That is what we want. So that is correct. But everybody should be gracious enough to give a bit of credit to everybody else. And let me
acknowledge the presence of
share credit.
Share credit. That's all.
Thank you.
I don't know why they don't share credit.
There is no ratio for that. That's why
they should just share the credit.
Okay, please.
I think we professionals should
acknowledge the presence of Professor Ramsford Jampo is a professor of political science at heart and the CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority. Prof, good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Thank you for the patience.
Yes,
let
yes.
me acknowledge the presence of Martin Pebbles.
Once you introduce, we know what I will do.
Yeah.
So let me finish.
Wait. Let me also acknowledge the presence of Martin Pebbles.
Then we come.
Why? Because he's being seen now.
Okay.
Okay, so I cannot do my ritual.
No, but I've not done mine. How do you do yours?
No,
but I've not done mine. So let me do mine.
This is just it's a minute each.
Well, so let me use the minute. Let me use the minute. See, I drove in here to see Atuforsen's car parked there. Minister of Finance, acting Minister of Defense.
Yes.
He drove in here alone. Okay. He drove in here.
In fact, when we didn't know that.
No sirens, no motor skates, no bodyguards, and he came seamlessly here. I said, "Is that Atuforsen?" He said, "Yes." Please,
yes.
If it is good, it is good. If it is nice, it is nice. If it is commendable, it must be commended.
Yes.
Okay. Previously, would have had the whole place cordoned off.
Yes.
Would have been stampeded here with security, national security, and what have you. I saw my brother, I'm sure Zato would come in here, interacting with the finance minister and telling him about the roads in his area.
Tumu.
And then I heard you, Martin, asking, did you have this same opportunity with the previous finance minister?
He never got a handshake.
He never got a handshake.
No, he never got a handshake.
He had a hug.
Exactly.
He had a hug with Atuforsen.
Yes.
He will speak for himself. So my point is to commend Atuforsen for the show of such humility and simplicity. Okay? Empty barrels make the most noise. Ghana is peaceful, but human beings are bad. So at least one bodyguard around you would be good. Don't come here alone without a bodyguard. It shows simplicity and humility. But Ghana is peaceful, but human beings are bad.
Right on.
Okay. Yes. So So thank you. Somebody asked me that. Did I go looking for Furiata? Praise Derek KJ. Yes. When I left, he said, these 2 weeks you are away. Were you looking for Furiata? Then I said, that wouldn't have been a bad idea. The point I'm making is that the search is on and still on the special prosecutor's case. We want to remind Kisi Ejabin that look, I beg he should just do and resign. The way he allowed the Furiata to run away, no, the game is over. The way he sat down, said we watched him leave. He said he got intel. He intercepted the letter which showed that Furiata was about to travel, and he didn't tell the people of Ghana. He said, "Jabin, pack and leave. Pack and leave quickly. You've lost moral authority. You can't do this job." So once again, I want to thank Yasantwa Sofe Kufu for the good job done. That's Akufo-Addo's relation. Yet she came out a number of times to criticize Akufo-Addo when times were going bad, and that's why we asked people in this current administration to do. The fact that you're in relation to JM doesn't mean that everything JM does is good. No. If it's bad, I mean, come on, come out and say it. He would even appreciate it. The same to Kentucky Teko through the second Gamanche, the man leading the charges for the recovery of our money from Cecilia Dapa. And then Domahini, Osia Adeyo, Ajimanbedu the second. Of course, hey, I've not forgotten, 52.5 billion. You know, OSP, as I said, when Kisi leaves, the man taking over should make sure that we recover that money. That 52.5 billion that left the GCB account to some unknown sources. We need that report. And of course, the Auditor General has a role to play in this. He wrote a letter in December 2020 that he was going to give us a report. Can you imagine? He's still in that office.
Tell him to resign.
Yes, we've said it ad nauseam. He has to go to You see, he has to go. Now, because we need a clean sweep.
You want
we need
everybody to resign like that?
Yes, Professor Pumpkin is here. We need Pumpkin is here. Look, let's try something else. Oh, no. You'll be biased. You'll be biased. No, Dr. Domfe said, Domfe has never acknowledged that when Oforiatta and cocaine, they said they will turn this economy in 18 months. I want to ask you, Domfe, before COVID came, well, did you see any poultry farm like now we have in Kukon Kitinkiti? Did you see any massive transformation, build up of poultry farm? Right?
You are on your substantive point now.
I've engaged Domfe privately. He's never been able to answer this question. You keep touting that by 2019 we're doing. Domfe, my only question.
This is your substantive comment you are making.
Sorry?
So it's your substantive comment you are making. So because you've gone beyond the 1 minute, because you are asking questions. So
yes.
you finish it.
Yes.
Because I'll come back to you again.
All your economic analysis. Listen, you are a book doctor, fine. In economics, all that development economics. But thank you. He who fails it knows it. You've done all this analysis, but you've never been able to answer. When your people were coming, they said they would change this Gadgetsburg economy within 18 months.
Whose people?
MPP. You were supporting them. You were a cheerleader. I've heard you on.
Okay.
Yes, so my question for you is that
Dr. Domfe, Dr. Domfe,
for NGC when they were in position.
Okay.
Oh,
Dr. Domfe.
Let's call her me. I'm interested in.
Gentlemen.
I've told you that I'm not a card member.
Dr. Domfe.
Oh, it's not a card. It's not a card.
Hold on.
You speak all the time for NGC.
Dr. Domfe.
And I don't want him to bring money into this house. Don't do that.
Dr. Domfe.
What I want you to answer is,
yes. So please,
what I want you to answer, Dr. Domfe, is that by the time COVID hit, MPP had more than 36 months. How did they transform the economy? Because look, the mandate was that come and transform the economy. You were going to improve agriculture in such a way that will stop the rice importation, poultry, chicken. What is rocket science about that? You had over 36 months. You couldn't do this. So every time you come and analyze, as long as that matter has not been resolved, there's nothing I will understand from what you're saying.
Okay.
It's simple. We have so much arable land in Ghana here. So much. Right? The rivers are here. Do fishing, do poultry, do rice farming, tomatoes. We import tomatoes from Burkina Faso. Even water. We import water. Last year, didn't we import water valued over $11 million? How? So that's a simple question. So don't come with the high-sounding, falutin words about primary balances. The mandate was that you were supposed to change the Gadgetsburg economy. So by the 8 years that MPP was leaving, did you change that Gadgetsburg economy?
Okay.
That's all.
Right. So I'll not come to you again on the budget. Thank you.
Martin. So he has
yes, he's made this point.
Yes.
Mr. Dapo, your substantive and then we'll move on. I'll come to you, Prof.
Dr. Domfe got it wrong.
On what?
When he said the improvement in the agricultural sector is primarily due to the improvement in rainfall.
During the 6 months.
Please. Wait. When we took over the reins of this government, or the reins of power of state, we introduced key agri policies. Read our 2025 budget, please.
Tell us.
Okay, please. You know, Dr. Domfe.
You were doing
Dr. Domfe.
Please. Tell us. Don't
okay, so let
me tell you that you have refused to
let me say this.
Yes.
I would ask that if someone is making the submission, just as I wouldn't allow anybody to interrupt you, please don't do that.
I just wanted to compensate you.
I'm just saying, because I'll come back to you.
Good compensation.
Okay? Right.
Now, we introduced key policies, including Feed Ghana. Do you know what we've done with Feed Ghana this year?
Tell us.
We've put youth in groups and set them up to go into farming, supported them with free fertilizer distribution and farmer trucks. During your time, you were selling fertilizers to farmers. You were.
You are tough.
When fertilizer came to my district in Southern, it was sold. Even though subsidized, but it was sold. Now it is freely distributed. That's number one. Number two, the Feed Ghana has been so successful that there's improvement in crop production, there's improvement in fishing, that's aquaculture, there's improvement in the cocoa sector, there's improvement in livestock production. You can get the statistics. So the improvement is broad-based, it's not compartmentalized. It's so broad-based that every sector of the agri subsector of the industry or of the economy has seen improvement. When I became the chairman of the National Premix Committee, we took very concrete steps to improve supply of premix to our fisher folks, both inland and marine.
Okay.
It has led to a lot of improvement in fishing. So, Dr. Adonfe, please, the results you see, for instance, crop has improved up to about 6.2%. Livestock, 5.8%.
Within the period under review?
Yes, fishing, 7.7%. It used not to be the case. In fact, last year, there were issues about premium supply to fisher folks. They couldn't go to fishing. It was an issue in this country. Now you can't do that under my watch. So give credit where it is due.
Okay.
Now, about Gold Board. Parliament set up Gold Board in April 2025. Sami Jemfe was appointed, I believe, sometime in January or February 2025. So he was appointed as MD for PMMC. And see the improvement. So it is not really about Gold Board, but it's about the young man having transformed the place. The figures speak for itself. Look, under PMMC, if I can give you the figure, in 2023, they did a total of 37.45 kilograms of gold. The value that we had for it was $2.1 billion. In 2024, they did 63.64 kilograms of gold. We had $4.61 billion value. Today, 2025, between January and now, he's done so far 81.71 kilograms, and the value is in excess of 8 billion. He has more than doubled what he came to inherit. Okay. So it's about the policies that the new management has put in place. So the improvement that he brought between January to April before at 1140, I believe, was passed in 2025. We took credit him with that before the name change came and the transformation he brought. So comment, you have said we should commend people when they do well.
And share credit.
And share credit.
It's just that there's no ratio for the sharing.
So let me play with Dr. Adonfe that the things happening are not whimsical.
Okay.
They are as a result of concrete, deliberate policies that this government has instituted. We were in this country where a minister was asked to go and create dams for our farmer folks to be able to irrigate their arable lands. We were told that the monies given to her were not sufficient, so what kind of dam do you expect her to create? It happened in this country. 2 programs were introduced. Planting for food and planting for export. It all failed. In the end, we went to buy rice to distribute to farmers who had gone hungry. Please.
Okay.
Let's give credit where it is due.
Thank you. Professor Boking, I mean, let me acknowledge the patience all of you have had, right from the beginning. But your verdict on this.
All had a bite, so let those of us who haven't done that.
You spoke and
mine. But let me speak about. I want to respond to the.
You have your time.
Yes.
I want, Prof.
Yes.
You heard the finance minister, and I'm looking at the 3 thematic areas, the broad areas that he talked about, and the direction of this budget. Fiscal consolidation, job creation, accelerated economic transformation. And the job creation, they are anchoring it on the private sector. I've had a number of private sector players since yesterday. I've been in a number of meetings. The question is, what interventions have been put in place to enable the private sector create these jobs going into the fiscal year? Do you see anything in there?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that 2025 helps us to understand where government is going. And let me start off by saying...
Gentlemen, please be silent. Doc, you are on air. Prof, please.
Yeah, let me start off by saying that government has started quite well. I think the strategy they've adopted is sound in terms of let's calm the economy, let's do the reset and all of that. And when you talk about the macro framework, there are essentially two policies at your disposal, fiscal and then monetary. So again, if you see from the fiscal, and let me say this, Ghana's problem in the last 25 years or so has been that domestic revenue has been low, but that has never constrained government from spending the way they want to spend. That is where you can see indiscipline.
Right.
Even including the current president when he was in his first term. You see that low domestic revenue does not constrain our government from spending excessively the way they want to spend, simply because they would explain the difference through borrowing.
Right.
But this time round, you have a government that is working hard at a cost to live within its means. So you will see that in 2025, almost all our revenue handles did not perform the way we expected. But the shortfall in revenue was more than offset by expenditure containment, so that we are able to keep to the fiscal discipline that is expected of us. This is also important because we are under IMF-supported program. There are targets, fiscal, structural, monetary consultation, and the rest of them. So this is what they've done to keep to that. Whilst we commend them for this, we also need to also understand that it has come at a certain cost to us. Let's call that one side effects and all of that. So you will see that growth numbers, we have not been able to maintain the momentum, like first quarter growth, for instance. And then if you look at GDP from the expenditure point of view, you will see that it's driven more by household or private consumption, which is very good, of course, and all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But then when it comes to government side, you can see a contraction. And then, of course, and then again, if you look at it quarter on quarter, you see that contraction, which is then a reflection of fiscal consolidation taking root and biting us strongly and all of that.
That's right.
Going forward. But so I think this is needful in terms of stabilizing and all of that. Of course, we have indicated that the pace has been too aggressive.
Absolutely.
And even from the fiscal point of view, the loading approach has been a bit aggressive and and it's been a bit difficult, especially again from the monetary side in terms of the aggressive strengthening of the currency. So the balance, we missed it at some point, and that is why you heard the minister talking about the cedi appreciation affecting revenue and all of that.
From exports.
From exports and then also from customs and the rest of them. So good. Yeah, but then let's relate this to 2026. Now you can see the government's approach, a bit of a change in direction that is we need to begin to spend progressively. So you will see that in the 2026 budget, in terms of capex, which is very fundamental, you could see that has gone up significantly. But you also see how Ghanaians have been compensated for in terms of efficiency in the management of state-owned enterprises, especially when it comes to ECG. So you realize that in the 2025 budget, we allocated more than 33 billion Ghana cedis to other expenditure in terms of energy sector shortfall, independent power producers, and the rest of them, because they've made progress in restructuring our indebtedness to the independent power producers and the efficiency with the ECG, because the minister indicated that revenue collection has gone up by about 90%.
Yes.
So now you will see in the 2026
a lot of
budget,
because of the strict compliance with the cash waterfall mechanism and some other interventions.
So you see this reflecting in lower budgetary allocation to other expenditure to offset energy sector shortfall. That creates space for capex to then go up. But the joy is not the fact that nominally, allocation has gone up. If you look at the 2025, you will see that budget execution, especially in the area of capex, is not that attractive. If you look at the total disbursement to date, okay, even from domestically financed capex and then foreign finance is quite low. So the understanding is that given the enormity of the challenges that we have, the infrastructure deficit and all of that, the pace at which we are going is slow. But of course, we can't expect a bigger uptick now, given the state of the economy in the run-up to 2024, and then also the excesses and all of that. But I think the challenge now is that going forward, we need to manage that delicate balance of fiscal consolidation, whilst we also cut growth and job-rich growth. I have just a few things that I think going forward the minister or government should take on board. Given our development challenges and all of that, I think it's not sufficient to present a whole budget without having appropriate metrics on poverty reduction, right? And then also narrowing inequality and all of that. So going forward, the narrative should also be that, yes, we've made progress. We've been able to lift, let's say, so and so millions of Ghanaians out of poverty, and all of that. And then we have also narrowed the inequality, because if you look at the poverty numbers, we are talking about close to 24-25% of Ghanaians that are in extreme poverty. I think you cannot celebrate development in the midst of these statistics and the rest of them. So I think going forward, that's what we need to do. And then also we must be deliberate about tracking employment numbers. Okay. Let's make development people focus, because we believe that unemployment is a threat. It's a national security threat. So in a national policy prescription like this, let's tell us what we have created in the last 9 months. If we are deliberate about tracking, it helps all of us. In fact, if you examine our books, national budget and the rest of them, you see government talking about, oh, we are announcing this policy initiative. It will create 250,000 jobs. It will do this and the rest of them. But we actually don't track to see whether we've actually created that and which sectors of the economy are absorbing that excess labor. I get worried, and all of us should be worried, when people have finished university 8 years, 10 years, and cannot find a decent job. Okay, if they majored in job creation in the university or majored in employment. Okay, so
suddenly they hear that. No, it's a serious matter.
Yes, I'm telling you. That. BSc in job creation. Instead of entrepreneurship.
And all of that. So, if you see this economy, and then let's move away from the politics of job creation. Let's get real. If you do content analysis of jobs that we have created through policy pronouncements across the two main political parties in the last 15 years, it runs into millions.
But yet,
millions. I don't want to say millions of cities. Millions. Meanwhile, if you check the data on net basis from 2012 to 2023, this economy has created just 250,000 jobs on net basis. Meanwhile, within the same period, 2.7 million Ghanaians have entered the labor market looking for jobs that exist in textbooks.
Absolutely.
Annually, we should be, apart from illegal mining, unemployment, so we've done well. But in the face of what we are facing and all of that, it looks like we should fail to commend people, but they've done well. Annually, over 500,000 people enter the labor market annually from our tertiary institutions. And that is why there's pressure. And right now, look, I see where government is going. It's going to take us a while. We need to ease the restrictions on the growth drivers so that the private sector can be the real engine of growth. And that is why, from the monetary point, we need to ease the monetary space, free up liquidity. Even though interest rate has come down, we've mopped up liquidity. Okay, so liquidity is not available in the market for private sector and all of that. So if you do the diagnosis and our inflation, you realize that, yes, apart from demand-related inflationary pressures because of excess injection of liquidity, our economy's productive capacity is severely restricted. We are essentially not producing. We are not adding value. If all that you do is to import, you are actually exporting jobs to those countries where you are importing from, And in return, you are importing the unemployment from those countries. So we need to shift more towards supply-oriented. That will take a while. And I'm just hoping that the way this government has started, they will keep to that fiscal discipline so that the fiscal space they create in terms of audit and all of that, they can channel that into growth-enhancing spending. That would be the only way. We should not do this for just 1 year, 2.5 years, and then we relapse. We've seen that. In fact, if you go to 2017 and 2018, we are talking about rationalizing the tax regime and putting money in the pocket of Ghanaians.
Sure.
In fact, 2018, cumulatively, 2017, 2018, from utility adjustment, the government actually reduced utility prices in 2017, 2018 through the PRC. Together with the tax rationalization, put over 5.4 billion Ghana cedis in the pocket of households and businesses within that same period. Because the understanding was that we needed to move the economy from taxation to production and all of that. They did that only for that same government to leave us excessively in taxation. And then you see again, this is what this government is also doing, essentially reversing that. So we have enough data to learn from the way we manage our affairs, especially when there's a regime change. In the first 2 years, 2.5 years, and then going forward, you see essentially what happened. Interestingly, we have a new government that has taken over from the previous one, whilst we are under IMF supported program. Something similar happened in 2017, and the rest of them. My prayer to our current president is that he has an option not to go the way of President Akufo-Addo. President Mahama has an option of setting a new marking scheme for future generations to refer to. That yes, just like the previous administration, you took over under IMF program, you exited successfully. They are going to exit successfully. The numbers are pointing in that direction. In fact, let me say that this government has fast-tracked our debt sustainability ahead of the IMF projections. They've done that. In fact, right now, I said it on your network here, that we should be classified as a medium debt risk country by now. And the minister has confirmed that. We were at high risk debt distress. But you know which government took us there? It was the NDC government that actually took us to high risk debt distress in 2014. And even though we went to that 16th IMF supported program, it was NDC. We have all the data. We exited that 16th IMF supported program in April 2019. We couldn't achieve their sustainability. So this high risk of debt distress had been hanging on us from 2014 until the NPP took us deep into debt distress. So if you look at the IMF classifications, you have low, medium, high risk, and then debt distress itself. So the NPP took us from high risk of debt distress into deep debt distress, for which we did debt restructuring. Yeah, and all of that. So now we've exited. So the same government that took us in there in terms of high risk has taken us out of the good news. I think that we need to look at the projections quite well so that we are able to manage this very carefully. This is my understanding. Managing an economy is not 100 meters. It's not 100 meters. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. So the success of this government will not be judged in 2025. In fact, it will not be judged in 2026. Probably in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. Yes. When all these emotions about sharing credit and everything dies down, the reality, we will be confronted with the reality. And that is why my advice to Bank of Ghana at some point was that let's be less aggressive. Because this is not a 100 meters. It's not a sprinter to say, I have won. We've done it. No, it's a marathon. There will be bump, it's just like being in the air. There will be some turbulence, they don't even tell you to put on your seat belt. It just happens. That's, guys, put on your seat belt. And all of that. So, but I think that I will not hesitate to commend government in terms of the approach. And here, let me say this. Look, Alfred, for the first time in probably a couple of decades, that I have seen a minister of finance exercising absolute control
over our expenditure framework from ministries, department to state-owned enterprise. It's the first time.
Commitment authorization.
Yes, it's the first time. And I sometimes I ask myself, how does he do all of this? And probably I can understand. I can understand because this is the minister you hardly see often in the media, going everywhere with the president.
True.
And the rest of that tells me either he is sleeping or he is working. But the evidence is that he is working.
And he's not sleeping.
And he's not sleeping.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so that should be commended. I'm hoping that you see, they are still in their honeymoon period. By the middle of 2027, going to 2027, constituents will begin. You know, when people enjoy stability for a while, they look for something more than that. Okay, so the government should bear that in mind. That yes, stability, we have to also go for growth, we have to go for development and all of that. Given the huge infrastructure, if we are spending annually, effectively, around $1 billion or so, that is way too small in the face of the infrastructure deficit. And I believe that, and here, I've said this at some forum, I'm sure Prof is here with me. Economic infrastructure, we should not put that on government budget. Let's put that on private sector balance sheets. Let's cut private sector in the delivery of economic infrastructure so that government budget space, they can use it for regional district level infrastructure to complement. So we are able to act at scale to, look, if we grow at this pace, IMF inspired growth projections, development will not reach some people in the next 10 years. For some people, it will take depth to separate them from these challenges and the rest of them. So we need to be growing it above 9.5%, 11% consistently. And that growth must be driven from labor-intensive subsectors of the economy. Growth that is driven by ICT has minimal government investment.
Okay.
And the rest of them. So, but of course, we cannot ask fish to climb a tree. Given the time period and the challenges and all of that, I think government is on the right track. We need to manage the delicate balance of fiscal consolidation and then job-rich growth in terms of progressive spending and the efficiency. And if you see Ato and his poster, I'm hoping that the support and the backing he has from the president and colleague ministers will remain. Otherwise, you know, there can be internal revolt.
Absolutely.
Because there's a CEO here who wants to spend.
You know what? When you reference Dr. Tuforsen's hold on expenditure, and then Prof, this is why I come to you. You have to justify your expenditure and how much money.
I don't know. I think I just wanted to make that brief point before my own take on this matter about how he's taking hold about everything. Control about everything. We raise our own resources. We think that, look, we go and people owe us, we go and collect our money from them. We want to spend to do other things. And they said, come for commitment authorization. I said, but what do you mean? You didn't give me the money. I said, yes. It's still public money.
Funds, yeah.
And so you can see the hold that he's exercising so that people don't spend. And the last time I think we heard him speak, he was talking about something that I don't know whether it's found its way into the budget, but no mobilization fee to contractors. You know, I got into government to see that a lot of contracts have been awarded to contractors without genuine intentions
to actually do the work.
To actually, do the work that, have been contracted to people. So people are just going about collecting mobilization fee and then not doing the work. Okay. Now, actually saying that, no, if you are a contractor worth your salt, you should be able to go raise your own resources and do the work. If you do the work, we'll pay you. And I think that is a brilliant intervention to ensure that people don't just go spending, and people just don't go awarding contracts without intentions. And it is troubling. I mean, you see some of these things, but you did X, Y, Z, you awarded this contract without even thinking about whether you have the resources. You are not thinking whether you even have the resources to execute, but you quickly would award and pay a mobilization fee to people. And
Bro, just one point. The other thing I'm very happy with is the announcement that we should buy local rice, oil, and things for
school kids. Yeah,
I am 100%.
I was going to talk about it.
100% for it.
Now, SHS, we don't have food, and people are importing perfumed rice.
Yes.
And all that. Meanwhile, the local manufacturers of rice and poultry products and all that are also crying that they are not getting market and all that. It is a commendable feat for a government to ask that, look, we are all going to eat locals, at the secondary schools. And it is important that we do. We all were eating, the wache that we're buying, the tujimi that,
I still eat local rice.
And it is healthy.
Yes.
So how do you
like it.
So look, let me you are asking what our takes are. I am impressed about the abolition of the COVID levy.
Even though they enjoyed it for 12 months this year.
But it has to take time. It takes time to abolish.
It doesn't have to take time.
And then also, now we've got into single digit inflation, and then also talking about SHS feeding on local food crops, and then cutting waste, spending well, and improvement in revenue mobilization. Now our debt to GDP, we are told, is around 45%. 28 billion cedis to keep our lights, to keep Ghana switched on. Investing in the energy sector. You have also the road infrastructure of 30 billion under the Big Push plan, and then also 500 million commercial agriculture. And I think I had an engagement with him and was saying that one of the interventions that would have to be put in place by government to address illegal mining is about finding ways of diversifying sources of employment, and that some of the illegal miners, if you look at the way a manner, they are always chased, they are panting, they are running. It's just that they don't have work to do. But if they get other source of employment, and so this commercial agriculture thing with investment of $500 million would help in providing other sources of livelihood and employment for people. And then the decision to end double track system in our SHS program, free SHS program, within 24 months, I think it's also commendable. And then I heard him talking about completion of the Agenda 111 by also bringing about the building of hospitals in newly created regions, no payment of mobilization fee. I've said that 150 million being committed to the fight against Galamsey. And then also, some of these things, my issue has been that rather than always budget statement being prepared and then we sitting here to speak English, we should also go down there to explain how these things tangibly affect the livelihood of the ordinary people. Because otherwise then it's always about macroeconomic stability and all those things that really people may not feel. So it is important that the government itself and then finance minister, finds a way of getting to the grassroots and ensuring that some of these things that have tangible.
We have the citizen budgets.
Well, so I think it's something that must be done, and DCs, like you're saying, must own it. They should be tasked to be deliberate and intentional about it. So because you see, when you cannot talk about governance when achievements, good governance, when achievements are always high up there and then they don't mean really tangible. They are not tangible in a manner that affects the life that are felt by the ordinary people. So it's important that having presented to Parliament, and I know Parliament is going to be deliberating upon it, I think members of Parliament themselves must also take it, as part of their town hall meetings, to talk about how tangibly beneficial the budget is going to be for them. I think that so far, in my view, there may be challenges here and there, but I think so far, Ato is doing well. I heard my brother talking about attribution and the way we have to be cautious about how we attribute. Look, as I believe that, if people did things well, they must be commended. If people did things right, they must be commended. And if we are celebrating today, and there is a reason for us to look into yesterday, to also see that, well, it did not happen only, from the moon, but it has some antecedent. It's important we do it. But the point is that to also sound like nothing that, all the things that are happening today are as a result of things that happened in the past, creates an impression that then we could have gotten here even if we were on autopilot. Governance was on autopilot, which is an unfair analysis of the situation. See, within 2-3 days or 1 week in his administration, the whole nation was faced with an imminent power shutdown. The whole Ghana was going to be switched off. And when that was about to happen, people started blaming President Mahama, who had been just about 1 month in office, that you've come and then there's going to be doom so. But this was something that a previous regime didn't do. Okay? So we're going to blame it on him. But he stood up and said that I'm assuring you will do what we have to do to keep Ghana switched on. So my point is that if Ghana today had collapsed, if the economy had collapsed today, would we have said that it was the previous administration? Would have the current administration would have taken the blame. And so if things are going on right, and I want to say that no, there's nothing that you are doing, I don't think that it is right. As an academic, when I'm given a dossier to assess for people's promotion, I look at what is right about it, what is commendable about it, what is significant about it, and what the contributions of those dossiers would be to the scholarly, enterprise. When I do that, then I will also go on to talk about the challenges or problems, and then I will draw my conclusion. So my view is that it is unfair for us to look at our analysis from an angle of refusing to give credit when there is due, when it is, we have to give credit, and then always say, no, you have not done anything. If Ghana had been on autopilot, wouldn't have been where we are. There are things that clearly the government is doing well, and regardless of your partisan political persuasion, if it will not hurt. I mean, I think that we gain a lot of respectability and credibility when we're able to say that this is right, but this is wrong. I don't have to be MPP to say that.
I don't think I can stand here for this. I think it is too much. I have tried to remain very calm. He's attacked. I mean, when it comes to credibility, my prof here not more credible than me.
Dr. Domfe, no, I say that
you made reference to me. And you are hitting me.
So, Dr. Domfe, I think you would do the program a lot of good if you let me finish. I think you have your
to those who are viewing it. Watching this. Be fair to them.
When you round up.
All right. So, Alfred, let me make the point that I think that the program, as has been run over the years, has been a program. It's been a decent platform. Okay, there were so many things that he said. In fact, I'm not really making a personal attack on you. If I have to clarify,
what you're doing. That's why.
Please.
You don't do that to
So I am here and I'm saying that I'm not making a personal attack. No, see, please.
Do that to
okay. So, Dr. Domfe, I do not fear if I have to attack you personally. No, I'm saying that, but I'm saying I'm not attacking your person.
I don't think.
Okay, but the point is that you see when
you respect the moderator, I beg.
So
we are academics.
Tone down.
I don't think it will serve any good going on this.
No, I'm just trying to make the point that when we are disagreeing with each other and we are making our points, I mean, we have to be civil enough in waiting for each other to finish. No, I'm calm. But I'm just trying to say that. So when credit is due, we must give. And when we have to criticize, we must criticize. But to always say that, no, you have not done anything. No, you cannot attribute this to. I mean, I think it's unfair. And it's important that I put it on record.
Okay, well, Mr. Beto, very quickly. Just see, I need to round up on
the
this.
wrap up
so that
on all of this. I have my 1 minute.
No. 1 minute. 1 minute. No, don't worry. I'll come to you. Mr. Bento.
The wrap up on all of this is this, please. Governance is a continuum. Number one. Number two, nobody inherits a blank slate. What we are saying here is that in fact, Prof. Bobkin just said that the worst situation we had, the debt situation, was under NDC. Then MPP came, seemed to have shaped us out and ended us in a worse situation than that. Then you have, and I always made the point that after Kenneth Oreta came Mohammed Amin. And Amin repaired a lot. And then Ato comes up, and Ato is following from there. Look, this government must be commended. I said earlier that sometimes you have damaging directors. They take a good thing and they make it worse. They have taken a good thing and made it better. But they can't take all the credits. There must be graciousness and credit sharing.
Okay.
The attribution must be balanced because let's understand that no one group, party, or person will take this country forward. If we get our act together and we at this great finish to a point, let somebody continue. So let's have this, spirit.
Right on.
That if we continue like this, then everybody will add a bit.
Right.
Everybody has some blame. Everybody has some credit. Let's move.
Perfect. Honorable Afiamako,
Yes,
because you will leave us, so I'll give you your last word on this.
Professor Hopkins said a couple of things. In fact, a lot of things. But one key thing that he said is the approach of the finance minister. It's not only cancelling payment or mobilization to contractors who take the money.
I'm the one who said that.
Okay, great. So apologies. So the credit,
giving credit,
Indeed, what is done is also to direct and give guidelines to the district assembly's common fund administrator. Now he pays up to 80% of what is due to them to the assembly directly.
DCF.
Yes, they no longer contract for the construction of AstroTurfs in Accra.
And
and buy things in Accra and use the assembly's money to pay for them when the assemblies are in distress. Now the assemblies are getting the resource to do what we need to do. So now he's pinning them down. 10% to health infrastructure, 10% to education, 25% to existing, that's legacy projects, 25% to model markets every year. That's why if you hear, Speaker is saying, if a lot of resources are beginning to go to the local areas, then we need to strengthen the capacities of assemblymen so that they can hold the chief executives to account properly. Otherwise, then the funds that are going may not be applied to the people. So there are a lot of structural things happening, which would eventually lead to the kind of progress we want to see in our rural areas. In a very decentralized manner.
Thank you very much.
So these are very, very major policies that are yielding fruits.
I think I can go
Dr. Dunphy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Calm down. Yeah. I mean, Alfred, thank you very much. And let me put it on record that this program started with us. Those days when this lady used to hold the program. So it's not as if I'm appearing on this program for the first time. It started with us. I used to come here almost every Saturday. And we're always making decent.
And in fact, you're going to be
contribution
coming
and all that.
Then. So
Prof. Bokpin spoke. Some of the things he said, I don't agree with him. Some of those that I said, he didn't agree with me. Some of what I said, he supported. He spoke as an academic, a very decent one as for that matter. He never attacked me. I have respect for such people. I have never said that nothing is happening. I am complaining about the attribution, and I kept on saying that significantly is because of the rainfall. If I say significantly, because the growth in question here is in reference to the first 6 months. And this budget started working 1st April. So even if they had brought whatever magic to push the agricultural sector, I don't think that within the 3 months, April, May, June, could push the sector to grow at 6%. And I have shown you data where anytime it rains very well, agricultural sector does well. And if because of this you think I'm not being academic, I have a problem.
No, my problem is when you said nobody could do anything about the pandemic.
Let him make the point.
No, I said that. That's what you said. It wasn't academic at all. You didn't sound academic. You didn't sound academic.
Let me say this.
And I'm putting it on record.
Yes.
Let me repeat that.
No, you make the point. Let me just say that.
He's on the phone.
No, he's saying he's being academic, and I'm showing him what is not academic in the things
to
he's
make
saying.
the point. I think you need to ensure some decorum. Ensure some decorum because I don't like this.
I mean, to answer you,
No.
November 2019, government had read a budget. We're going to spend 85 billion, and to rake in also 68 billion. And I mean, we incur fiscal deficit of 4.7%, and that would have been within the remits of the law because we were working under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, right? And we enter a year. You didn't know there was going to be anything COVID before we could say that expenditure had ballooned to 104 billion, and then revenue dropped to 55 billion. There was a revenue shortfall of 11 billion, and that 11 billion, which was significantly because of the import duties that we were not getting.
Well, like the foolish lady, we didn't prepare. You didn't have resilience.
So
you didn't have resilience. That's the problem. Very good. Now you are talking. Now you are saying that. No, I said that nobody could do it.
You are the one who is inviting him in.
The vulnerability. There was no answer.
Oh, no answer. You had the opportunity to create farms. You had the opportunity to do politics. You had the opportunity to do rice farms. Did you do that? Well, like the foolish lady, you didn't prepare for the.
Your microphone is off.
And so, I'll forgive you.
Gentlemen,
I will forgive you because maybe you don't have. Full understanding of the
make your point. Make your point. If you keep saying this, you keep inviting you.
He has to withdraw that.
Hold on.
I challenge you that you don't understand the economy. You wouldn't be saying this.
I do.
I don't think
I do more than you. So let me say.
You continue. No, I'm not stopping you. You continue. Doc, you continue. You continue. Let me just say this.
Our economy has been vulnerable.
And that's the point we are making. So we brought you in to transform it. You are not getting the argument.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You continue. I want you to end your point.
Yeah, so my
specifically,
point is that nobody
you're not. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Somebody who
Dr. Donfe.
Why you were the president? Look at what you did.
Dr. Donfe.
Look at what you did. You were so
you
political.
are not listening to me. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
You are not.
Thank you. You are not listening to me. Thank you very much. We're going to go for this quick break. We are back shortly. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani. From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust. Impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News. Leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back. This is a key point on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. All across the world on 3news.com. Also on a number of radio stations across the country and the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the city of London. Dr. George Domfe also then, as I indicated earlier, he was going to leave us. Dr. Joshua Zato is joining us in the studio. Doc, good morning. Come.
Good morning, Alfred. And thank you for having me. I want to have some preliminary distance. Yes, Professor Jumpo. No, let me just go. Professor Jumpo was right, and Martin Kwebu was right. I ran into the finance minister here, and I went up to him, and I pleaded with him that please release the money for the Tumu Road. I did, and he said he would do it. It's actually Wahen Jeffrey Tumu Chuchiliga Road, and he said he would do that. So I'm happy because look, this road. This is the second time His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is cutting the sword to start that route. So I hope the second time is the best. So my prayer is that it does. And I did. His first time. It just came to pass. In fact, this road, this road has appeared in more budgets than almost any other thing. Almost every budget, starting from Edwards, when Kwesi Boche, the other guy, was it Pepra? All the way. This particular road has appeared in almost more budgets than this. So I'm saying that now. Let me go. So that's the first thing I want to say. So I didn't meet you already. So so he says it would happen. So I'm happy. So I told you must solve that route. Thank you. He actually mentioned the contractor's name. He said that's one. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, Honorable, you did say that under the Ghana Feed Program, free fertilizer was supplied, right? Yeah. We didn't get it. We didn't get the salary.
It's been supplied.
It didn't come.
It's been supplied.
I'm saying you said
they will look
Honorable.
When was the last time you went?
Honorable.
I've been in feedback, so we'll take it.
Can I make the point? Yes. I'm being inundated with messages that hey, where is our fertilizer? Ghana fertilizer. When Ghana fertilizer, no. It didn't come to salaries.
Okay.
And I'm sure it didn't come to salaries. And even there's something from Navrongo Central and China Packer. They didn't get their fertilizer. So what happened to our fertilizers? That's a quick point. So if you said it's free, we didn't get it. Okay. Good. We didn't get it. The fertilizer didn't come. Or maybe it came and it disappeared. It didn't come. Level fertilizer Kalana.
But what you are missing in
very important. People want to say now communication. Very important. I want to let me make my substantive point on the budget.
Just briefly, so that we can move on.
It shouldn't about people talk about budget. Let me also talk small. Don't worry. Let me talk budget.
You know why you are here. Yes.
Let me talk budget. Look. There are some fundamental indicators that are very good. And you cannot sit here and wish them away. They are good. Inflation, fuel prices, stability of the city, those are good. And so we must acknowledge that some good work has been done. The argument has been who takes credit. And I'm saying that give the credit to Atom, give the credit to NDC. They've done it. But from today onwards, we must also then say that the economy is now a JDM NDC economy. There is no need for you to go back and be comparing to, because we have been doing that. We have refused to assess the NDCs on its own performance strength, but we are always trying to do a comparative analysis all the time. When you do that, you are not being fair. So this economy now is the NDC economy, the ADM. We must acknowledge that. Okay. Secondly, Honorable Otofoso, please ignore the hype men, ignore the praise singers. Right. They will lead you into a ditch. Okay. Ignore them and focus. But there's something else. I want to look at the figures. Some of the things that came. It's very important that we talk about it. One, if you look at all these things that happen, ask myself, what is the value of all these good economic indicators? Workers have just been given a paltry amount of 9%. So if the economy is doing very good, why have workers been surcharged with only 9%? And that is why I now ascribe wholly to a theory propounded by Professor Jumpo is here. Professor Jumpo has argued that some of the labor unions that have been sent to go and negotiate will get rich at the expense of our workers. That they are there advancing their own interests and they are not arguing well, and that is why they are getting rich and workers are getting poor. I want to believe that is what has happened here. That the unions, when they went to negotiate, they were looking at their stomach and their pockets, not that of workers. Doi FM did an analysis, a very good one, and they said that the real value of the 9% increase is 1 cedi. So if all these indicators go, and His Excellency the President promised workers that if the economy gets well, he will pay them more. So my question is, the economy got well, he didn't pay them more. Why? And that's very important. Thirdly, the city stabilization, we all agreed, is due to gold. gold money. A lot of gold. Gold is now about 5,000 or 6,000 there. It's gold. The gold is coming. This government is a social democratic government. So they believe that they don't believe in the invisible hand of the market. They believe that the government must directly intervene. So they are pumping billions and billions to do it. I have no problem with that. It's an ideological and a philosophical position. I agree with that. Okay. But the question I want to ask the finance minister was that what is your formula?
I want him to round up. Gentlemen, hold on. Listen, don't do that. No.
What is your formula when the city comes out? What is your formula when
don't do that.
Is your formula? What is your formula when the gold prices come to 1,000 cities?
Okay.
What will you do when gold prices come to 1,000 cities?
Right.
What will you do? You need a formula, and if not, you'll be caught with your pants down. So the minister must tell us what is your formula. And then I come to gold board. They've said a lot about gold, but just one question that still remains: what happens to the Galamsey gold in this country?
That matter.
Galamsey gold, where does it go? Somebody needs to be able to own up and say Ghanaians Galamsey goes to gold board, and that is part of it. Galamsey gold, and that is why the government is reluctant to do some of this. Where does the Galamsey gold go? We need to that answer.
Right.
Thank you.
Professor Bokin, round it up on it because you have to leave us. No, he's asked a question.
But you never
answer we give. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Professor Bokin, I need to hear you out on this. I want Professor Bokin to round up.
Okay, so thank you very much. Certainly, the reset agenda and the way they've started it, we all agree. The results vindicate the approach. Inflation has come down. In fact, inflation has come down much faster.
Everything is in the right direction.
Yes, and then so of course, everything, and then of course there's a little bit of misalignment because some of the macro rates are not trending aggressively like we've seen inflation. But with time, they will align and all of that. And as I also indicated, fiscal consolidation, especially when you front load it, the way we have done, will certainly have side effects in terms of growth. And so if you check GDP growth quarter on quarter, you realize that the first quarter growth was high.
Yes.
Second quarter growth slowed a bit. Again, when you check the high frequency data for July, you can see that the July 2025 GDP growth was much slower compared to July 2024 and all of that. But I believe that in the short term, there are considerable price we need to pay to be able to restore and then build. Then again, if you see the 2026 budget and all of that, the effectiveness of the budget will come down to budget execution and then the efficiency and the strategy going forward. So if you check our comment, Alfred, in 2017, 2018, it's not different from what we are saying today.
Exactly.
When you see a government, I hope you understand that sets out to do the right thing, but when they deviate, we also deviate from our position as well. So all that I would say as a signing off is that we say that the glory of the latter shall be greater than the former.
Amen.
Let's bear that in mind that it's not 100 meters we are running, so that we say we are done.
Thank you.
It's a marathon. And also, let's begin to align our budget numbers to be people-focused, so that we are more particular about how many people we are taking out of poverty, how we are narrowing inequality, and then we are also tracking job creation from all the relevant state database and all of that.
Matter.
Yes, that is what matters. Again, let's also appreciate that it takes time for macro level development to impact micro and then and individuals. It will take a while, and household level. It will take a while. Of course, we also take cognizance of the fact that household level consumption has gone up significantly, which is very good. We need to complement that also with government as well and all of that. So between the gap between macro level development and micro level, we need to come out with sector specific policies targeted and make sure that there's efficiency in how they are implemented.
Thank you very much. Professor Alfred Bokin, thank you very much for... your microphone is off, by the way. This one here, quite a number of your messages. Price of inputs like seeds, fertilizer, chemicals were extremely costly under the MPP, and this also affected the size of farmlands cultivated by farmers in the past. It says, I agree with Kofi Bento when he says that there has to be some
progress and stability looking forward. We all cannot deny the level of stability. Yes, indeed. Kofi Bento is right in aligning what happened in the case of Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam in the last 10 months and what is happening now. Finance ministers need cool heads, truthfulness, honesty, and not pretense, you say. You're just quoting what Kofi Bento said earlier. This one here says that, please ask Kofi Bento that if you're a finance minister and cannot protect your purse against wastage and thievery to safeguard your finances, then there's no need that you hold that portfolio. I think, Ben, thank you. This one here, I think a number of you referencing Dr. Donfe's statement on the rainfall and how it impacts agri. You'll say, kindly let your production team speak to Meteo to give us 2024 and 2025 rainfall data and how it impacted on food production. You say, this one here says that let's be less aggressive, reduce tariffs, which is high in the sub-region. And the issue about local production is high prices. Input for product is extremely high within the sub-region. We can focus on substantial transformation of production by reducing high tariffs. You say, thank you, Dr. Kwame Asante. Thank you very much for your message. Quite a number of you referencing something that Nelson Ross Dafeamekpo also quoted about gold board production over the period. Thank you very much. This one here says that, okay, Alfred, March 2025 saw above average rainfall across most parts of northern Ghana, while the southern half experienced slightly drier conditions. Moderate dryness was observed in isolated areas. The breadbasket areas in Afram Plains and the transition middle belt experienced long dry spell affecting crop production. Compared to last year, first half was good and second half was bad with rains. Richmond is a farmer. In fact, 3 years ago, he was a Greater Accra regional best farmer, so he knows exactly what he's talking about. Richard, thank you very much for your message this morning. And I acknowledge all the messages that I have received on this, the first part of this conversation where we've touched on 2 of the issues, in fact, 3 of them that we've been dealing with. We go straight into the Chief Justice nominees, vetting and approval by Parliament. But before that, let me tell you about Blue Financial Service. Professor Bopin, thank you. Thank you for coming. He's also going to take a leave of us. Are you a salaried worker, an SME owner, or a trader in need of quick and reliable financial support? It's time to make your money work for you with Blue Loans from Blue Financial Services Ghana Limited. You get fast, flexible, and affordable financing tailored to your needs. No long queues, no stress, just the support you deserve when you need it most. Call Blue Financial Services on 050-160-9958. 050-160-9958. Blue Financial Services, trust in Blue. I'll tell you about UG Premier Fresh Natural Mineral Water. This is from the Entrepreneurship Interventions and also the initiative by the University of Ghana, Legon. And if you see this all the time on the table, it's because my guests are drinking and they are staying hydrated and fresh. UGL Premier Fresh comes in 3 main forms: the bottled form, the dispenser jar, then you also have the smaller forms that you can take with. Their depots are located at the University of Ghana, Liman Hall. Call them on these 2 numbers. Tell them that you heard me talk about it on Kipo and they'll give you some good discount. 056-181-4444. 056-181-4444 and 055-5060-150. 055-5060-150. And there is an exclusive holiday tour of Dubai coming up between the 23rd and the 27th of December. I'm talking about Ocean Bells Travels and Tours. 4 nights of unforgettable celebration, return transfers from Dubai International Airport, desert safari with barbecue and live entertainment, Marina Do cruise with buffet dinner and live entertainment on sharing transfer, UAE tourist visa also support, return flight tickets, all of this by
Ocean Bells Travels and Tours. Celebrate the holiday upcoming with unbeatable ticket prices. And if you call them, you reference Key Point, they give you 10% discount on all the flight tickets that you will buy from now till the end of the year. They have partnerships with South Africa Airways, Kenya Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Africa World Airlines, Air Peace Airlines as well, and Qatar Airlines, Brussels, Ethiopia, Askai, Egypt Air, and Emirates. Call Ocean Bells Travels and Tours on these two numbers, 059 3972767, 059 3972767, and also you can reach them on this other line as well, and that is 054, that's 024 203 7280, 024 203 7280. Ocean Bells Travels and Tours, they get you safely to your destination. This week, we saw the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Paul Bafuboni, approved by Parliament. And by the way, the outfit I'm wearing today is by, as always, Cobra Clothing. It's the best version of you. If you need this outfit and many others you've seen me wear on Key Point every Saturday, you can locate them on the Spintex Road. Call them on 0244 238 341, 0244 238 341 for some more of this outfit. Let's hear from the Minority Leader, Alexander Penyomaking, during the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee and why the minority did not take part in the vetting. Take a look.
To you to proceed whilst we exit this committee room with our views well documented for the records, and on the floor we shall proceed with the debate, further stating our position and take a vote against the nominee as required by the rules of the plenary. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader.
What's the justification? Although the Speaker had ruled on this matter, but the minority was still of the view that, to the extent that there are a number of cases in court, it will just only be prudent, in their view, to have these matters heard before a new Chief Justice is appointed. Why did you disagree?
There's no justification in law or in parliamentary practice. If you recall, myself, I challenged the constitutionality of a presidential decision sometime last year, when in February the president woke up, I believe it was 14th of February, Valentine's Day, and dismissed several of his ministers in a sweeping statement with immediate effect and wished them well. And then in the same release, sought to reshuffle ministers that he had pronounced them terminated. So I thought that was quite interesting, constitutionally speaking, because if you terminate the appointment of someone, the person was no longer available to be reshuffled. You have power to reappoint the person, but my position in law was that nomination, that appointment, ought to be subject to parliamentary pre-approval processes. So I sued, and I brought an injunction to injunct the vetting process. The Supreme Court told me that, well, yes, it may be before us seeking interpretation of what has happened, constitutionality or otherwise, but we cannot injunct a constitutional body, a constitutional organ of state, such as Parliament, from performing its constitutional functions. So to that extent, my prayer for an injunctive relief in the interim was refused. So the vetting went on. And they went to occupy office until the election came and they left. So the precedents have been set. The law is trite. That a mere filing of a process before the court you can't call on the court to injunct a constitutional body or an organ of state from performing its functions. Otherwise, any busybody can file a process before the Supreme Court and ask the Supreme Court to injunct. So even the executive can be injuncted from even preparing, undertaking its constitutional duties. But, and our brothers knew this. And yet, they sought to find a back door to ventilate this matter and harp on it. They actually brought a motion to Parliament to, as it were, injunct Parliament, to ask Parliament to decline proceeding with the vetting of Justice Bafuboni. Speaker went through the conditions of admissibility and found that the motion was inadmissible and issued a declaration to that effect. They still decided to hash the terms of the motion paper into a press statement sort of and brought it before the committee. So this was where we had disagreement. And the terms were, a lot of the phrases employed in the press statement were so prejudicial. Some were even going to the infradig of the CJ nominee. And we thought it was unfair.
Right.
So this is where we disagreed. So eventually they left. But they came back to the floor when we were adopting the reports to actually remake all these points. So we went through with the vetting. CJ, I believe, will be one of the most impactful CJs, even though his time will be a bit short. But the policy outlines that he has, matters that he spoke to in terms of reforms, are very, very forward-looking. For instance, we have situations at the magisterial level where I asked him that the issue of the career magistrates, where they are not paid for the equal work, they are not paid the same wages for the equal work that they do with the professional magistrates. And asked him whether he would consider bringing that program back and making it better. He says yes. Because we are not getting lawyers to join the lowest level of the bench. So the agreement is that he will bring it back. People are struggling to enter law school. They have the LLBs all over, but they are not getting admission to enter law school. So that could be an avenue for people to train and be magistrates. And also there are opportunities for you to go through the ranks and rise through the ranks all the way to the highest level. And that will be the difference.
To man the district courts, magistrate courts.
Yes, because you see, the district courts, he makes the point that, for instance, he's promoted about 45 to the circuit. Circuit judges have also been promoted to the High Court. So if you put them together, there is an opening for about 115 magistrates. But you won't get 115 lawyers or more applying to fill those as magistrates. So you need other source of training to bring in the necessary arbitrators, magistrates to be able to handle matters at the level. And we have a lot of district courts. You have one magistrate, for instance, in Peki, he may be doing relieving in Amfuega or relieving in Panto. You understand? So when he's able to introduce this, it will help. Then two, reforms in terms of legal education. If you are aware, you know that I've been in the forefront fighting that the legal present system of training should be improved.
Exactly.
So it's also for it. It's for the reforms. When the bill comes and it's passed, it's going to champion the implementation. And it will give the law school as it is now in Makola the opportunity to also train, introduce other programs. You know our judges, when they are appointed, if you want to train academically to acquire additional academic degrees, you have to either you do it here or you have to be sent abroad. LLM in a lot of the specialized areas. The law school will have the opportunity to do that. It will be a source of revenue earner. The Judicial Training Institute too, we have had discussions, and I think that it should be turned into an academy, like it is in India, where judges, they are awarded academic qualifications for the training that they do, and it will become a model training, judicial training in the sub-region that can serve the Commonwealth, other Commonwealth regions in West Africa as well as on the continent and elsewhere. So then judges reforms at the appellate level. The Court of Appeal now sits zonally. The regions have been zoned and they sit. Part of the reforms is that, for instance, if Kofi has a matter before the Court of Appeal which sits in Koforidua for the Volta and Eastern Zone, he may not necessarily have to travel to Koforidua to be heard. He's introducing virtual platforms where Kofi can sit. Maybe a courtroom will be designated in Accra. He goes to stand before that court and speak to the screen, and the judges may also not be virtually sitting in Koforidua. But meanwhile, that is the Eastern Appellate Court of Appeal panel. They could be in their chambers and listen to arguments. So we are a lot of this will bring reform. It will also check the issue of judges knowing people, but so it will reduce the human interface. Then second, the panel will also be sitting, I think, rotationally. So that you have a Court of Appeal panel that can sit in the morning, another panel sit in the afternoon or in the evening when we are using a virtual space. So cases will be more rapidly heard and disposed of. You understand? So the CJ has some lofty ideas, and I believe that he has the opportunity to implement them, especially because government is committed to also supporting.
He has 1 year.
Projects.
He has 1 year.
Yeah, but these are doable.
All this doable within 1 year?
Yes, these are doable. It's a matter of policy directives. That, for instance, once the legal reform bill is passed, and I'm hoping that we'll pass it before December, before we go on recess in December. If it's done, the implementation begins in January. You understand? And that is done. And the career magistrates program can also be implemented. The reforms can be introduced and implemented in January.
Right.
It's all about executing the policies and ensuring that they are implemented. And they have some good figures in the budget to support these reforms because they are anticipated. Then housing for the judges will continue from where the past government left off to offer housing accommodation for judges so they are more comfortable. Now the model court houses that we are building, it comes with accommodation for the judge. The judges don't struggle to look for accommodation wherever they are transferred to. So things are really looking good with the kind of policies that he wants to introduce.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Bento, on this, because of the position that the minority are, in fact, the reason why they walked out.
Yes, and if I may ask permission to leave your presence, because we have the post-budget
it's a fair point.
And
please.
Speaker is about to...
There'll be free food and booze. Why don't you invite
Okay.
Am I invited? Zato, come as a facilitator.
Nelson Wilson, the report is Majority Chief Whip, MP for South Dines. Thank you for coming. Mr. Bento.
Yeah. So let's say this generally. I was very happy when Justice Eni Yeboah became the Chief Justice. The reason why I was very happy was because Justice Eni Yeboah did all his schooling in Ghana, most of it, and went to local schools, also that kind of thing, and he was such a high-quality judge. He rose through the ranks and became a CJ, and it made me proud that we could produce somebody like that here. Myself, I've had most of my education in Ghana, and I believe it's a testament to what is possible, you know, if we put our minds to do something. And Chief Justice Bafuboni is that type. Solid judge. You won't find anybody who really has massive problems with Chief Justice Bafuboni. We've all gone before him and had little situations here and there. I have been before him recently on a number of occasions, and I wasn't too happy, but that's the nature of the game. But my respect for him remains intact, which is why I am really pained. It really hurts me that the ascent of a man who has paid his dues to this extent should be shaded by the situation surrounding it. And on this platform, I have said, look, process is process. There are two types of justice.
procedural justice and substantive justice. The process by which justice is delivered is by itself also justice.
True.
And we have said that, look, dispose of the matters concerning the previous Chief Justice, Tokono. She has issues, she's filed them in a proper court, properly so. Please, sit over it, deal with it, dispose of it. You have about 4 or so cases which have not been disposed of. And look, it may seem esoteric or whatever, but it is important that technically people should know that if her removal was wrong, her reinstatement in principle is possible in law.
If her removal was wrong,
yes,
the reinstatement is possible
in law,
in law.
because it's public office. Okay, so you see these things. Somebody will say, "Oh, she herself is not asking to come back," and the principles are important. And I was telling somebody that, look, she as Chief Justice and who was the person overseeing all of the justice system, if she was being dealt the bad hand in terms of the justice system procedures, she's the one who has to fight it. Okay, so for me, it really is a stain on the system that the issues she raised have not been disposed of, yet we have overreached and we've gone for her to do this. Okay, and the unfortunate part of it is that it is Justice Bafo-Boni who it shades. This man who has paid his dues, look at the number of years he has spent as a Supreme Court Justice. Who has heard anything about him? And like he himself told you, he transcends, governments. All right. And then he has to have this cloud over him. Okay. So that really is my pain. But look, my respect for Justice Bafo-Boni is intact. I wish he ascended in a cloud of glory. So we all look and say, look, this is what we have produced in this country. This is what is possible. It is possible for a person to live between regimes, even military regimes, do his job, do it so well that he ascends to the very top of his game. All that being said, like we said, he has a year. With that man's experience, if anybody knows what is wrong with our system, he does. But look, I disagree with those who think he can change everything in a year. He can't. But this is what he can do. He can set the course. He can set the course for the reforms that we need. And he said some of those things. Look, we are at a point where it doesn't make sense for us to do justice delivery the way it was done 100 years ago. One of the ways, and these paradigms, because they are so hardened in our system, it's difficult for us to break out of them. A paradigm like you have to go to a court to be heard. Today in the US and in many other countries, developed countries, in fact, not only developed countries, India and other places, they do it. You don't have to go to a court to be heard. The Supreme Court does hearings over the phone. And it's public. Everybody can dial in and hear the arguments. All right? In Ghana, when the courts are on vacation, we do virtual hearings. I sit in my office, and the judges are in their office, and the other lawyers in their office. We all connect Zoom, Teams, and we do it. So the paradigm is hardened in us that you have to go to a court to be heard. It is no longer true. And the truth of the matter is that justice will be better delivered if we move quicker into these areas. Already we've started. This is what Justice Bafo-Boni can do. He can move us, set the course for us to move faster in that direction and do the justice delivery. The Fiam Court just talked about the appeals court, etc. It does not make sense that I have to travel to be heard. We all have to have an arrangement where when you have a case, you can opt to be in court, or if you cannot be in court, opt to do it virtually, including the judges. We will do more cases that way. There are a number of things, even now, that we need to deal with, all right? You have a situation today, okay, where lawyers have to speak and wait for somebody to type it verbatim. In this day and age, when my phone can do transcription, and it messes with your mind, he can do something about that because the technology is there. In fact, they have some of the equipment even around. He can ensure that that thing is done. So we are happy to help him with that. Okay. Right. Now you have a situation today, and he mentioned it. Electronic service of processes. There is no reason why we shouldn't do that now. The technology is there. The reasons that everything is clear. If Martin has a matter in court, it should be possible to serve Martin by email and for him to also file by email. We have the software to do it. Why not? He should set the cost to do it. Today, every lawyer in this country has a number. Okay, that number, I've spoken to some of the people involved. can easily be converted to an email so that you have an official martin2120@gba.org, and we can use that as service in the course. What I'm saying is that we need to move hard into technology, and he, Justice Bafuboni, is speaking to it. For me, in the 1 year that he has, he can leave a legacy by setting us on a hard path towards that. Okay, and make sure that he is the Chief Justice who turned around the transformation.
Perfect.
Okay, so
but
concerning
all of this reform, we'll have to take a certain framework, for instance, because with what you have just indicated, which is long overdue, electronics servicing or serving of processes, the framework guiding the implementation would also have to be thought through, so that
it's already there. In fact, we have amended CI 47 to admit electronic service of processes. Today, as we speak, we do video. Like I said, when we are on holidays, when the courts are on break, I sit in my office, the judges come online, we all go in, we use Teams. Every lawyer knows this thing. So we are doing it now. We just have to mainstream it. Okay, and let me tell you something. Look, the biggest problem of judicial or justice system in Ghana is the judicial service. It is not lawyers or judges. It is bailiffs and process management and all those things. And there are very good people in the judicial service. I know some of them. They really work hard. The kind of paperwork they have to process. But there are some really bad nuts in that system. And I'm telling you, those who are resisting the reform are the ones benefiting from the current mess.
Okay.
And we should go up against them. So I'm simply saying all these things are already there. The emails, there. The online systems, they are there. We just have to make sure that, look, now it is not maybe we will do it. Justice Bafuboni set us on a hard path. If I have a case in WA, it should be possible for me to opt, even if I have to pay for it, to do it online.
Perfect.
This is the future. Start it now.
Great point. Thank you. On this.
Yeah, sure. So it's good. It's good to have a new, for lack of a better way, let me say, a new sheriff in town, a new CJ, right? Yeah. So let's see.
The focus is what can be done within this 1 year. Really, what do you expect within this 1 year?
Oh yes, a lot of reforms, a lot. And where Kofi ended, let me start from that place. The number one thing I expect is the process 7. You see, Kofi said the service is a problem. The process 7. So when you take a case to court, okay, there are officers who have to deliver those documents. So let's say Mr. Ocansey, you sue Professor Jampo for $10 million, right? Now, when you file the case in court, there's an officer who has to take that document. So when we say process, we simply mean the documents that are filed in court. Anything filed, so writ of summons is a process. Application for injunction is a process. So forgive me if I forget to say process. It just means a document filed in court. But I'll try not to use the word process. Okay. Yeah, so those documents have to be served on Professor Jampo. So there's that officer who has to go and give it to Professor Jampo. The numbers are hugely inadequate. Infinitesimal, let me use that word, compared to the number of cases in court. So the first line of reforms has to do with serving the court documents. We need a huge increase. Yes, some are saying the technology thing. We should do hybrid so that you pay. Let's do hybrid because yes, because there are a lot of lawyers who are still BBC, born before computer. No, this is not a forum. We cannot. No, some are old. So, look, some is age and the rest. So let's not go there. That's why I said So if you don't convert, if you are not computer compliant, then you pay for it. I think that would be better. So the huge thing, even I don't want to add any other thing. If Justice Bafuboni CJ can reform the bailiff system, there are thousands of unemployed graduates, etc., that we can employ. If he does that alone, for me, of course, judicial integrity, those ones are constant. But in terms of increasing the number of process servers, if he's able to overhaul that system so that we don't have that artificial shortage, which is breeding corruption. It's breeding corruption because the numbers are too few. So you always have to try and get the bailiff on your side. You have to increase that. Oh, no. It's terrible. I don't want to talk because I can see we've run out of time. So CJ Bafuboni, please, if you do the bailiff system alone, you are done.
Thank you. And I'll share the last couple of minutes between Dr. Zato
a quick thought on this.
Oh,
and then Professor Jampo. Yes, Professor
I know,
Jampo,
this one, they should have given Jampo 1 minute, they give me the rest of the minute.
Time is running, so please speak.
Anyway, I understand,
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
No. Dr. Zato, please, go ahead. Your time is ticking. Time is ticking.
There's one thing, there's something that is happening in this thing, and I think that if you listen to all the lawyers that spoke, myself and probably are not lawyers, nobody questions the credibility, the integrity of the CJ. If you listen to everybody says he's a nice guy, he's a very good jurist, and he has what it takes to transform the judicial system to be fit for the kind of economy we want to run. I'm cheering him on, and I'm praising that he succeeds, because a modern Ghana, a successful Ghana, a powerful Ghana demands a judicial system that is equal in similar form. That can also make sure that business cases are not there for years when they are truncating business development. Government policies are not sitting in court for years when they could lead to employment. So I want to see that, and I'm happy that everybody's a bit. You see, and that is what something Mr. Bentel said that is important. He did not deserve what happened in Parliament. He did not deserve it.
Okay.
But then there's also another thing they must then understand. What happened in Parliament, the CJ became a victim of the fruits of the poisonous tree. The poisonous tree here being the politically exposed way by which his successor was removed. If you look at the speed, the temerity, the determination to use every single political means to remove Tekono, it is that poisonous tree that has today affected a perfect jurist and may go on to be on his record.
Thank you.
I pray that going forward, that we should never subject an equal arm of government to such blatant, naked partisanship. We should never do that. And I have said it, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know if you're saying the removal, the political and partisan way by which Tokono was removed will be a blip on the legacy of essentially the president of the Republic of Ghana. So far, he's doing good, and especially if he does his hometown road and my hometown road, he's doing good. But this thing will always be on record. He will always be known as the president who removed a co-equal chief justice in his regime. Thank you.
Zato, why is it that when you are talking, you won't take your time to talk? And then you smuggle your language inside, and then we don't know whether you are speaking English or time is ticking. When the time is up,
that's the way I talk.
I think that it is decidedly clear that the competence and the capabilities of the CJ, Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, is not in doubt. And so for me, I would wish him well and hope that within the limited number of time that he has, he'll be able to do something impactful, significant, and meaningful. Sometimes you get into public service and you truly will realize that if you have the will to effect a change, if you want to be a change maker, then you should be able to do something, even if you have 2 days, even if you have 1 week, even if you have 6 months. So I trust that you will be able to do something that posterity would remember him of. But the other bit is about the processes that led to his selection. You see, democracy is about majority rule and also the need to factor the views of the minority into whatever decision is taken. It is such that the majority would have its way, minority must have its say. But it appears that, looking at the conduct of the minority group, it was like it's either they have their way or they would walk away. And I'm thinking that is not democracy. Okay. You have to have your say, and you must respect the fact that there is also majority view. And so I would ask that they appreciate how democracy works, especially when you are in a minority. You must have your say, but you shouldn't conduct yourself to posture yourself that, look, it's either I have my way or then I'll walk away. And you see, that's how come with that posturing, it was because of that posturing, that's how come when Ayaga fired that warning that I'm not going to allow XYZ, and then it demoralized and disarmed all of them. Okay. And I thought that it was not the best. And so by all means let majority have its way, but let that that should not also preclude them from endeavoring to factor or bring on board the views of the minority into whatever they do. But the minority must also respect the fact that democracy is about majority rule. They must have their say, but they should not overly arrogate to themselves a certain posture that projects them like, look, it's either we have our say or walk away. I think that is not democracy.
Thank you very much, Professor Ransford Jampo. And let's celebrate this Christmas holidays like never before. Book 2 nights and get the third night free with all meals inclusive. And that's, yes, our guest, you have actually a free pass into Maha Beach Resort. And if you're listening to us, for a couple, 4,500 package offer guests free welcome drinks, access to all in-house facilities. You have a swimming pool, gym, cinema, popcorn, board games, so many live band, brass band, DJ performances. The early bird discount is there before the 31st of November. Book and enjoy 20% extra discount. I'm talking about the Maha Beach Resort. Call them on 0540 124 114 0540 124 114 for some more. I'm Alfred Ocansey. Thank you so much for staying with us here on The Key Point. Gentlemen, do appreciate your time. We'll do that again next week. Thank you very much. And I received an apology message as well from Dr. George Donfe. Thank you very much for this, and then also to all what you said to the other guests as well in this message. Thank you. Have a good weekend.